Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
That's your knowing or mine.
Move him out of here, Derek.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on a Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing, nutters, messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump. You know what I'm saying?
Welcome, everybody, to the 472nd edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse, brought to you by Boxing Asylum. With me, Steve Wellings, Andy Patterson. Check us out, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever you get your videos or your podcast at. Last night, boxing fans were treated to an incredible display of heart, will, and talent. In that rare moment where a fight exceeds expectations, Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor put on a show for thousands of fans at Madison Square Garden. In an atmosphere which falls under indescribable, these two women left it all in the ring over 10 hotly contested rounds, only for Katie Taylor to win by a disputed split decision. In a great show of sportsmanship, Serrano had little to say about the cards, instead focusing on the quantum leap they just made for women's boxing. With talks of a rematch starting soon after the cards were read, Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor have already left their mark on the sport of boxing and forged a path others will soon follow. Trailblazers, warriors, world-class boxers. When opportunity knocked, they answered in the most resounding way possible. Steve, that was a hell of a fight, man. I had it for Serrano 96-94, but it was close. She threw 114 punches in a 2-minute fifth round, which I think burned her out. Katie able to actually take the later stages of the fight. They went hard at it in the 10th round. Truly a great fight. Very proud of what they did. I'm kind of at a loss for words.
That's not like you, Matty. If I'd have known you were going to do a heartfelt soliloquy, I would have teed up some epic background music for you. But no, you are quite right, I suppose. It was a good fight. I enjoyed it. And even though she got the win, it feels like the end is maybe in sight for Katie Taylor. Majority decision. If it had been a 12-rounder over 3-minute rounds, I think somebody was going to get stopped in the fight, because Taylor doesn't really do well with his sharp punching southpaw style. If you recall, I think it was Natasha Jonas gave her a few problems, ran her tight on the cards back when they fought. Serrano had gave Katie similar issues, and she was better than I expected. I said last week I couldn't remember seeing a fight before. Didn't get a chance to check out any footage before the fight, but she could clearly bang a little bit. As the fight went on, I think Katie was landing the cleaner, crisper blows. Did she win the fight? No idea. I'm not sure who won. Don't envy the judges for having to make an official call. And that's 2 close decisions now Katie's got in New York. We spoke about this with Rapping Rob Kelly last week. It could be completely coincidental. Firstly, there was Pursuit, then there was this one. I can see why there's calls for a rematch. I can see why some people want to see her retire. And I can see why they would want that elusive fight in Ireland. Who knows whether that'll happen for obvious reasons. It's up to her to decide what she wants to do next. But if she decides to go out now, that was some epic finish. And fair play to the 2 girls. I know I was sort of a bit trite about it, but they put on a good show and I enjoyed the fight.
Yeah, it was a good war. They threw a lot of good hard punches. Serrano just to kind of run the gas tank dry in the middle rounds. They're giving Katie the chance to take it over. Andy, what were your thoughts on that one? Did it catch you a little bit by surprise?
Yeah, I was surprised as to how competitive it really was. To be fair, the finish of the fight, like champions, kind of going right at it. Every comment that I read after the fight was, "Oh, it's a robbery." It's this. It's like, I understand. If you look at the scorecard, I think it was one of the judges had at 97. I think it was.
Yeah. Two judges had only gave Serrano 3 rounds, but one of them scored that 5th round 10-8 in favor of Serrano. Kind of a little bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, obviously Serrano would definitely win the 5th. I think she won the 6th and 7th because I don't know if Taylor maybe had a broken nose, but I did notice there was a lot of blood coming out her nose around about the 5th and 6th. It just looks like from those scorecards at least that those judges at least have gave Taylor the benefit of the doubt in every close round because there was a hell of a lot of close rounds, especially the first 4. You can say that Serrano just possibly getting them. On pure aggression, but I thought also that Taylor was picking times when she was stepping back, letting her own shots go. So yeah, I'd probably give Taylor the first. The second, I don't know. Yeah, again, I would need to go back and maybe rewatch it to see who maybe won that one. I thought Taylor maybe won, probably just shaded the third. And then obviously kind of like as you said, she maybe kind of burnt at the tank. So I ran a wee bit around about the 5th and 6th, and I probably had Taylor probably picking it up a wee bit. In the last round, not too sure. Again, this is the thing with these 2-minute rounds. That, you kind of like split it into 2 basically. So I would probably say maybe a draw was probably kind of fairer result. I'm not buying into the kind of robbery comments. I understand why because of the kind of wider scorecards. Rematch would be ideal, but as Steve says, that's 2 very close fights she's had now. She's had a very, very long career. Is it catching up with her now at this point? Who knows? Serrano was catching pretty well with the body in that as well. I think Taylor was definitely rocked. But she also, as I say, she came fighting back. So look, at the end of the day, they've created history as well. I think it's like the first time women have headlined at Madison Square Garden. Just over 19,000 there, so that is a hell of an achievement.
And it was loud. The ref couldn't even hear the bell for one of the rounds, and they're about 10 seconds. He was about 10 seconds late on stopping the action. The atmosphere was just fucking electric.
It was, and it says, look, they've both paid it as well. It says, Taylor's swollen, bleeding. Serrano kind of like cut up and swollen, kind of as maybe the last 2 rounds possibly. And the final 10 seconds was pretty remarkable actually, because they both looked knackered. Both wobbled, both hurt, both bleeding, and it just came down to about will, cardio, and who had the most power really kind of finish the fight. As I say, it was up in the air for me. I think a draw is probably a fair result. Considering how much money they made there last night, how much actually attended. Considering it's not really a kind of great undercard of any great shakes. No, I think a rematch would be financially viable. I think Eddie would probably line it up, and considering how things are going with MTK just now, maybe, just maybe, she might get her just deserves Katie and get her homecoming fight, but she more than deserves it. I've seen someone say that Ireland deserves it. No, they don't. Katie Taylor deserves it more than anybody else to get a homecoming fight. So hopefully that can get made next. Get the rematch made in Ireland somewhere.
One, it would do big business.
Oh, aye.
As explosive as this fight was.
It's a stadium fight. It's a stadium fight in Ireland, without doubt for me.
Yeah, it's an incredible moment. And Steve, although there's there's definitely a long ways to go, there does seem to be an increase in talent. I know you don't follow the sport like I do. Do you think that we might be turning a corner with women's boxing where it's not necessarily a joke? It might not be the headline for boxing fans, but it's definitely something that's on their radar now.
Well, yeah, it's definitely on people's radar and it's definitely improving. I've made my point to the point of tedium. I'm even boring myself now, but I have no problem with women's boxing whatsoever. But just because that it's on doesn't mean we have to necessarily watch it. And there's a lot of shit out there. They're cramming it down our throats. When Katie Taylor fights Amanda Serrano, or when the Groat fights Savannah Marshall, or other women fighters to get together that I'm interested in and put on a fight, I'll watch it just the same as I'll watch a men's fight that I'm interested in. That's never been my issue. It's when they get someone over from Ghana and she's got flipping Lost Property PE shorts on against a woman from Slovakia, and they're pandering away at each other for 4 2-minute rounds. And Bean's telling me it's the greatest thing we've watched. They've all worked so very, very hard for this and all this type of bollocks. And people can see through that shit. I'm not interested in that. But when there's genuinely decent, talented athletes like there was last night, I'll happily sit and watch it. And I want to give a shout out to the true Groat of British women's boxing. I'll give her a shout out before. But what this woman had to withstand, Jane Coach I'm talking about, to get the sport in front of people. And she was kind of spat on and insulted and made a joke and lied about in the press. I saw somebody tweeting out earlier, a guy called Mike. He said, much said by commentary team on Katie Taylor being the biggest force and introduction and acceptance of women's boxing. Indeed true, but would reserve that accolade for one Jane Coach MBE as the original. Hope tonight's bout stands on quality through all the circus and theatre on its own merits. Shout out to Jane Coach, because she had to go through a lot back in the day. Like I said, a lot of lies were said about Jane, and her personality was, misrepresented. So I'm not saying that to take it away from Katie, who's done great things, or Amanda, done things in her community and whatever. But shout out to Jane Coach.
Yeah, Matty, see I know you're interested in it. So if you look up Trish Dixon's podcast, he had an interview with Jane Couch, so you'll get all the information there. Shit she had to go through, having to get licenses. She'll have to fight abroad a fair bit, Steve, because she didn't license her in the UK.
Yeah, that's right. She fought for world titles. I mean, she wasn't the best technically in the world. You had people like Frank Maloney, now Kelly, who were sort of laughing at her and looking down their nose. And yeah, she had to fight in every.
All the irony. It's one, if you look at that and I fall back on the 10 2-minute rounds, people like knockouts. You look at these records, you're like, oh, they have a lack of stoppages. Well, you'd have to consider that the ones that have a bit of punch to them in championship fights, if you were to give them 16 more minutes of boxing, they would definitely produce more knockouts.
I think they had a stoppage last night if it was 3-12s.
That's
12-3, sorry.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you what I think might be the compromise point, because everything has to go level by level. Apparently, we can't just take the jump. I think maybe just going to 12-2s for the championship fights might be the way to go. I mean, then you're only adding 4 minutes, and how much can they bitch? And eventually you'll get up to 12-3s as the sport grows. But they have to do more. I think 10-2s is just sliding the higher caliber of women's boxing.
And also, Matty, just mentioning about that, obviously we all want it to go to 12-2s or 12-3s or whatever. The women themselves who've been on this podcast have said that too. But it is medically, the WBC would argue, they have like a medical council, and they say, about skull sizes and differences between men and women and hydration and all this hormones, everything that's taken into account. So it's not just a case of them necessarily being stubborn to give them their due and say, oh no, they won't go to it. They are claiming, at least the WBC medical board, that it is backed by some kind of science to do with the differences in genders that we have at the moment. I'm just wanting to throw that in.
No, that's interesting to hear on that. And I don't know. I'm a big believer in self-determination. And like I said, you got to have that middle ground. Maybe the 12-2s is the middle ground. It's not the whole thing, but you're adding a little bit at least. And I mean, and if you look at some of these fights, that the way that they're looking at after, in 9-10 rounds, a couple more, I think they tip over. You remember when you guys wouldn't, because you didn't watch it, when Serrano fought Heather Hardy. She would have definitely gotten Hardy out of there during that time. But anyways, further down the card, being chief support for that, we had a couple of guys put in a good show too, but ultimately simply outsized Jessie Vargas, getting taken out by Liam Smith in 9 rounds. Looked sharp. Had some good shots on him early, but I'll tell you what, he just like we were kind of thinking, Steve, and I'm glad we were able to talk you out of Vargas by decision there. Smith was just able to impose his size ultimately and wear him down. He probably didn't land even the cleaner shots through the fight. He was just the bigger man.
Yeah, Smith is a tough fighter and a skilled fighter. He's shown that throughout his career. I know his WBO reign was a little bit farcical, but he showed time and again, even against Canelo, that he can soak up punishment. He's a good body puncher, and he's skillful as well. I thought, as you know, last week I fancied Vargas until I actually looked at the stats and went through it. Smith had been a lot more active. He'd beaten Fowler. He'd gone life and death with Kurbanov over in Russia. Would have maybe got the decision had it been in the UK. Whereas Vargas had been off on the political train, picking up that DAZN money, which he still is now, and 2 years removed, I think, from any kind of activity. And it just showed as soon as Smith started planting away to that body, fast start from Vargas, got the first couple of rounds. By the third or fourth, Smith was tucking away those body shots and Vargas was starting to gas. There was blood flowing. Vargas was throwing hard, but by about round 8 or 9, I think it went 10 in the end, he was just starting to really gas out, and he looked like someone who'd been on the couch or on the political campaign for the last 2 years, and just hadn't got that ring rust, wasn't able to come off, and Smith just kept targeting the body, physical as well, getting stuck in on the inside, got the earmuffs up. Smigger was at ringside, doing a bit of cardio himself as well, and Smith just kept on battering away, as I say, to that body. He's looking big, old Smig, isn't he?
Oof, he's swelling tyres, I think, mate.
I think so. Looks like Jim Royal. But yes, Liam, I don't know. I'm thinking about this, Matty. This has come to me right now, so I could be completely wrong here. The best of the Smith brothers, it's not going to be a big fat Smigger, is it? Let's be honest. Probably not Stevie. So it's down to Callum against Liam. Who's had the better career? Who's the better fighter out of the two? Liam, do you think? Is he the best of the Smith brothers? I'm just going here, Matty, off the top of my head. People could be slaying me for this, but what do you think?
Well, I mean, considering that you guys refuse to rate Rocky Fielding, I guess you kind of have to refuse to rate Callum Smith's better win, right? I mean, the George Groves win, I mean, Groves was done, right? I mean, he was done.
Liam's fought the better competition, being competitive with the better competition. I know Callum went the 12 rounds with Canelo. Liam got stopped by Canelo, but other than the Canelo fight, who's Callum's best win, as Porky would say? I mean, we're going into sort of Rocky Fielding territory, like you say, so a George Groves. Maybe, I don't know. He was injured, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, he didn't fight again after that either, did he? I think he was just done. So
like I say, I just come off with that top of my head, so someone might pull out some win that I'm completely forgetting about that Callum had. But I'm thinking.
I'm trying to think actually what Liam Smith's best win is actually, just off the top of my head.
Michael Thompson agrees with you. Cedric Sniff says Smiga looking like Bluto from Popeye these days.
Oh, mate, he's looking huge. I'm telling you, man. We ran in the ring to hug Liam there last night. I was like, jeez.
He's blowing out of his
arse.
arse.
Busting out his t-shirt. I don't know how he got underneath the rope, to be honest with you.
Well, on Smith, Matty, I've got his record up here. So obviously he fought John Thompson, who apparently, according to BoxRec, is now called Apollo Thompson. Maybe that's something to do with Apollo James Jackson. Who's known Michael, the Ethiopian emperor. Jimmy Kelly's there as well. Predrag Radosevich. That was the little WBO run. Then the back-to-back wins over Williams. Especially that first one, he was losing to Williams, wasn't he? Fought Munguia, went the distance, stopped Eggington, lost to Kurbanov controversially, and then Fowler. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that he's just kept a pretty constantly decent level of opposition. When you say, I mean, it's just he hasn't fought the best, but I think Callum Smith is more dipped a toe than put a whole foot into the best of the division, right? I mean, Canelo, and that was about it. They took advantage of a broken George Groves. So, yeah, I don't know. Andy, you got thought?
What, on the fight?
Yeah, no, on the fight or on our discussion about the best Smith brother. I don't know.
Well, I've seen them all live. To be honest with you, if you're talking early half of the careers, you would probably say Callum Smith. But if you're going to take in this, as Porky would say, the body of work, longevity. Callum Smith seems to have took the Billy Joe Saunders route at the minute. You've not seen him since when. At least Liam's been semi-active as such. Just on the fight itself, I'll just put my 2 pence in that. As I mentioned it last week, I think I picked the late stoppage. I think for Smith. Seen a few left hooks coming in there last night, head and body. Smith was cut, which is sometimes can happen to him. But then obviously Vargas eventually he was getting cut up. He was getting beat up as well. I mean, I've seen some people complain about the stoppage we went too early or whatever. I don't know, mate. To be honest with you, I think he was getting beat down anyway. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy.
I'm surprised people are complaining about that.
People are raging for some reason for last night. If it's not between the scorecards. Every fight is close as a robbery these days. So it's like, and then they're raging about this. About the stoppage being too weak. At the end of the day, the guy was getting beat up. He's no fought for a good period of time. Semi-retired, as I like to say sometimes.
And he hasn't fought anyone that size.
Exactly.
I mean, Mikey Garcia's not a welterweight. I don't give a fuck what weight they fought at. And
But I think at least Sandor Martin is ranked. As I was saying last week, I'm going to mention that again. What does that win do for Liam Smith there last, other than just shake the rust off? I mean, I know he's still highly ranked with one of the bodies, probably top 5, but beating a non-ranked contender there, or a non-ranked fighter who's been semi-retired, as I mentioned, what good is that? Unless he's going to get some sort of title fight next, which it's not going to happen at 154 because the belts are all tied up.
He's in no man's land there, right?
I mean, what happens? I mean, I don't know if Tim Zoo's been nominated as final mandatory or whatever. I mean, you've got Kurbanov number 2. I doubt he's going to be able to kind of get out the country to go fight anytime soon. He might end up losing his ranking position. Does Liam Smith get called to fight Tim Zoo in a final eliminator? Who knows? But as I say, it's
I think he's just fighting for a paycheck, and I bet he was paid all right for that. I mean, that's fine,
Possibly, yeah. As I say, but at the end of the day, but he's still ranked, so you think he's maybe wanting to have another title shot before he calls it a day,
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see if that ends up happening. It's just all the belts are wrapped up with PVC come hell or high water, right? Like you have to force the fight somehow. Uppercut myself, throwing in 449, says, I listen for free week on week, little contribution. Keep up the good work, guys. Thank you. Uppercut myself. Hey, Tyson Fury once uppercutted himself, and that was shown many, many times over and over again in boxing forums across the globe. And he's in the conversation for greatest heavyweight of all time, at least on skills. So, that name has value. Let's see here. What else do we have on there? Oh, Andy, I know you didn't catch much, so we'll go back to Steve on this one. Steve, from a person who lost her debut fight to a debuting GOAT, Franchon Cruz Dezern sure has come a long way. And like I said last week, that right hand was going to be the story. Man, she just beat the shit out of Cederos. Like we were talking about before the pod started, it just kind of got a little bit repetitive at times because every time Cederos moved her left hand, that right found her fucking face and she was busted up.
Yeah, I remember DAZN fighting before on DAZN, and I don't know if it was her or the opponent. The hair was starting to come loose, and the trainer.
It was her.
Was it her? And he goes, "Get that fucking thing out of here!" And then they were cutting the hair off and trying to get rid of it and all. But yeah, she's come far since then. I don't want to completely disparage the achievements of Miss DAZN. She's done fantastic, as you said, since her pro debut. Back in 2016, her against fellow debutant the GOAT lost every round. She's come back. She's 8-1, and she's a unified, undisputed champion. Does that say a lot about DAZN to a certain extent? But it also says a lot about the state, possibly, of this division as well, and the lack of the talent pool. But she's done with what she has, and she's done well with it. Cederos, I'd never heard of her, but she'd been out the ring for over 2 years. The commentator was trying to say this might be a positive, but as the fight went on and her nose was bleeding and she was starting to wilt, didn't look like a positive to me. DAZN put a lot into the first couple of rounds, and I thought this will get interesting later on. There's no way she's going to be able to maintain this pace, but she did. Kept on throwing those big hands. She was obviously in good physical shape, and fair play to her. She got 4 belts. She'll go down in the echelons of history now, but the super middleweight division, not sure what's flashing about there, Matty. That's going to trouble us. So let's have a quick look here as we go on. You know more about it. Oh, Christina Hammer's in that division as well, then, I suppose. She's still fighting at super middleweight.
What I think is more interesting is her as the winner of Shields and Savannah Marshall moving up to fight her for all the belts at 168.
That would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
for Shields. I mean, because she's already beaten her once, and then you would imagine with Shields' talent, if she beats Marshall, she'll beat her again, then move up and take all those 4 belts off DAZN, and that'll be even more on her legacy. So yeah, that would make sense because Shields has beaten Hammer as well, hasn't she?
I do believe so.
Yeah, she has,
yeah. So, yeah. Well, there you go. Well, we just mapped out the next 6 months of boxing on.
I'm getting into this women's boxing now. You're forcing me in, like trying to force a fat guy through the door.
Hey, here we go. Can you see that though? Maybe towards the end of the year, you got Katie and Amanda Serrano 2 with the Gwoat or Savannah Marshall against Sean Cruz Dezern in Ireland. Can you imagine the Irish people and Sean? I wonder what she would wear. Not only just clothing, but maybe her wig of choice.
Green wig, maybe.
You never know. Never know. Do you think they could wait for this whole thing until St. Patrick's Day, or is that actually not a big deal in Ireland? Is that just something Americans obsess over?
No, it's a big deal. But
If you
maybe
wait for that though, mate, there is going to be battles. So that's the fucking problem.
On the talent pool, Matty, maybe they could put her in with number 21 in the world, Ejim Konye Grace, a German-based Nigerian who's Norton 2. That's number 21 in the world out of 24 professional super middleweights at female. So Dezern's unified the titles, and there's 24 ranked on BoxRec. So yeah, they do need to come up with a few more super middleweights.
And that's a couple of the sanctioning bodies. That's as high as they recognize. Like I think one of the sanctioning bodies actually has a heavyweight champion. I haven't watched any women's heavyweight boxing, Steve. I haven't gone that far.
The last heavyweight I saw was between two women who were both over 50, and one was the Gwendolyn O'Neill from the Bahamas, I think, or Guyana, and she was 5'9". So you could imagine what a spectacle that was.
Yeah, I can. I kind of want to watch it now for some reason. Oh man. Well, anyways, interesting fact about Elin Cederos, though, too. She is a natural athlete, Steve. She played on the Swedish national soccer team.
She is quite the athlete. Sorry, Matthew, I don't want to keep shitting on this, but I've come up with another little factoid here. So the fight between Gwendolyn O'Neill and Laura Lady Ramsey. Laura Ramsey came in at 256 pounds, and she's only 5'5". So, my God, that's
oh my God. I wonder if she is really good out of the shell, and she's just like a female James Toney. I don't know.
Sorry, there you go.
Burger King. Johnny H.C. Nelson, just going for the abbreviation. Maybe he's afraid of getting banned or something. Throwing in a buck 179. Says, double espresso and 2 cookies for me kids. Yes, for the kids, right? Is it for the kids? I don't know. Andy, when you go through the drive-thru, do you get cookies? Are they for the kids?
No. Unless they're loaded cookies.
That's the one good thing about not having kids. Well, there's a lot of good things about having kids, but one of them is I have a thing of Oreos in there, and they're all mine. There ain't no motherfuckers eating my Oreos.
Just fucking plank them like I do. Put them high up so that they know they exist.
Oh, that's true, but eventually that isn't going to work.
No, well, it's going to work for years. It's going to work for years until they start getting curious and start climbing up things. So that's when you've got to terrorize them, keep them in order.
Isn't your wife Norwegian? I mean, so there's a fair chance that the kids will be fairly tall.
She's quite a short arse, actually, to be fair.
Is her family short?
So you broke up there, mate.
I said, is her whole family short?
Yeah, some of them are quite short, on the female side at least.
Well, fuck. Well, there you go. So much for any hopes of the Patterson family making an appearance in the NBA, huh? That's son of a bitch. So, coming over and to Vegas, I believe, Shakur Stevenson taking a unanimous decision over Oscar Valdez. Andy, there were times that I thought that he was going to stop him, but Valdez, tough son of a bitch that he is, manages to see the final bell, 118-109 2 times, 117-110 once. Stevenson basically doing everything he wanted there, Andy. I thought maybe he would have looked for that uppercut more, and he might have got him out of there, but it was what it was. Dominating performance. He's WBC, WBO unified now. Good performance. It's just, I don't know. He's kind of like the way Floyd was in his 147 defenses. It just kind of was what it was.
Yeah, what was really telling as well with the rehydration that Shakur's obviously far bigger. I don't think he's really going to get a proper test now until he's up to 135. That said, Valdez gave it as best as he could. The problem with what he was doing really is he was expecting just to kind of put the earmuffs up, walk into distance, and just let his shots off. But what he was getting met with was basically jabs, as you mentioned. He was getting caught with uppercuts, caught with hooks, body shots. Okay, he had moments where he was maybe successful with a few single shots here and there. But nothing really that kind of really troubled Stevenson. Maybe a few body shots, maybe kind of slowed him down a wee bit as the fight maybe kind of toward the end. I did think especially early half, I thought Valdez was overreaching a wee bit with his shots, lunging with a few hooks. I think he got caught off balance. Maybe the first round possibly. Stevenson trying to kind of time him with a kind of sharp counter. So yeah, as I say, Valdez wasn't really kind of popping out his jab, just to say, keep the high jab. The high guard. And just while Stevens was happy to kind of pop at him, move about, blow off some power shots. I did think Valdez had a good third round, and then at one point in round 5, I think Valdez just kind of walks into distance without even punching. As he goes to kind of throw the shot, that's when Stevenson clips him with the counter left. Poor balance again in round 6, as I mentioned, about kind of like overreaching and lunging. That's what's kind of put him into punching distance. And that's how he's got eventually he's got dropped. So as I say, it was a good performance by Stevenson. He'd probably have far harder tests, I think, up at 135. There's not really much for him now at 130. Obviously, you got the other 2 unification fights. I know one Japanese guy. I forget who the other one is at this point. So yeah, look, as I say, he's massive for the weight. There's not really much there in terms of big-ish fights for him, really.
Well, Steve, I guess that explains why Andy was having issues. Totally
he did mention to me earlier that his router was playing up or something. It'd be going on and off all week, but it seemed to be hanging on today. But maybe not.
Yeah, you might need to log on and off there, Andy, see what goes on. Steve, I guess the question for me, I mean, the performance was fantastic from Stevenson. But I guess the question is, where does he go from here? I think he's basically 130. There's nothing of great interest for him there. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there is a possibility, since Kambosos versus Haney is going to be on ESPN, that they'll be able to make a deal possibly for him to fight one of those guys down the line at 135. That seems fairly interesting, although I think that Stevenson against Haney could be one of the most boring fights of all time.
Well, possibly. They're both growing into their skill sets, and I said last week I expected Shakur to dance rings around Valdez, but that's not exactly how it transpired. Stevenson stood in front of him. He was tall, he was strong, he was the aggressor, he was the boss, and Valdez is a tough guy. He managed to last the distance while making it look like he wasn't just surviving. But for that final third of the fight last night, he was an active participant. It never looked like he was going to turn it around. He was getting caught, he was getting clipped. Even when he was committing, he was getting tagged with shots. And early on, Valdez committed the tactical sin of being neither in or out of range. Andre Ward picked up on it, so did Tim Bradley. He stood in the pocket without working, and he allowed Stevenson to just tee off on him. And someone like Stevenson, who has a phenomenal arsenal of shots, you can't do that. And Stevenson, I tell you what, he's flexible. He can clearly punch. He doesn't seem to have any major chin issues. Early on in his career, people suggested he might have, because that was maybe why he was so defensive. And my issue was never with his skill set, but more with his personality. But he's going to fill out into a tremendous fighter, and maybe even as high as welterweight when all's said and done. It's hard to find too many problems off the Herring fight and this one. A few shots strayed low here and there. He had that Klitschko push jab that was irking the referee. Valdez drew the referee's attention to it in an interesting way by grabbing hold of it and kind of shuffling forward. And some people point to the fact that he didn't finish off a wounded animal, but I don't have any problem with the performance. I thought he was dominant. I struggled to give Valdez more than a couple of rounds. The more he matures, it'll be difficult to get the better of Stevenson. And I was thinking actually how you would beat him. And I think to beat him, you'd have to be able to punch a little bit, first of all, get into position to land the punches, which Valdez couldn't do, quicken the feet, shorten the distance, let go with flurries. Like Madonna did against Broner, Castillo against Floyd at times to a certain extent. Throwing pot shots, that ain't going to work. Hovering around in range, that's food and drink to someone who's as talented as Stevenson. He was barely troubled at all for me. And Joe Tessitore again on the commentary. I don't know whether it's a toss-up between him and Bean, but midway through the third round, Valdez landed a left hook to the body, and Tessitore just let out this guttural roar. He just went, "Whoa!" And they hype things up just to the nth degree, and it means that sometimes true greatness, where do you go from there? He annoys me as a commentator, but I thought the fight was good, but one-sided. Stevenson's on another level. Top-ranked knew that. Bichelt was perfect for Valdez. Valdez was perfect for Stevenson. Be interesting to see what they do with him next.
Yeah, and I thought if you would have focused on the uppercut earlier, as Valdez was just extending his chin past his lead knee constantly, Stevenson could have got him out of there. That lack of a kind of a killer instinct, I guess. I mean, that could get him a little bit down the road, don't you think, Andy?
Sorry, mate. I'm having issues with my router here today. What was the question? Sorry, mate.
I think Stevenson's kind of lack of a killer instinct could bite him in the ass one day.
Stevenson?
Yeah.
Right, okay. What did I cut off about? Sorry, mate. Just so I can maybe pick up. Can you remember now?
And what you were saying, Andy, now, to be honest? What was Andy saying when he cut off? I don't know.
Oh,
I think you were saying that you had Valdez up at the time of the stoppage or something.
No, I never said that.
Oh, no, Steve's right. I distinctly remember hearing that.
No, I think I never said stoppage.
Yep.
The question about the uppercut, I mean, look, as I say, Stevenson, obviously, he looked far bigger on the night. I did think Valdez did catch him with some good body shots, when they kind of like stepped to the side. Obviously, with Stevenson being a southpaw, his right side, his ribs are kind of like, more facing to him. He's got some shots in there. Maybe it's just slowed Stevenson down a wee bit. Obviously, again, as I mentioned, he's big at the weight. How much has he taken up himself to make that weight? It could be just a matter of he's just managing the tank. But I thought he actually boxed at a decent lick, to be honest with you. So as I said, I think his biggest test is going to be at 135. I don't know if I got that message through before I cut off, but there's no shame in Valdez, as I mentioned. He's fought a far bigger guy. There's nothing really much else he could have done differently other than throw some jabs and try and jab himself into distance before letting shots off, rather than kind of walk in with the hands up and letting Stevenson just kind of pick him off. And you mentioned uppercut there. It was obviously Stevenson was catching a few uppercuts as he walked into distance, up the middle, down the body. So it was causing some issues, but again, it might just be down to the fact it could be stamina. He's just trying to manage it possibly at the weight. As I says, maybe like the Cambosos Haney winner would be an ideal fight for him. I mentioned even Mendy won the European title there last night. I think he's still at 135. So yeah, I do think the biggest tests will be 135. I don't know if he's going to hang about for the other two belt holders for a potential unification. But we'll wait and see. But certainly over his last two performances, at least, he's certainly kind of got me on my edge a wee bit. I think he's got all the talent to go very, very far. Again, it's just about him, stay on the straight and narrow. I heard him, I seen a video of him there actually. I think he cancelled the press conference last night. They run out into the foyer where all that big battle took place in the middle of the MGM Grand, I think. So
his mom was in the middle of that.
Yeah, I think so. So I don't know if there's like
I should get her in with Franchon Cruz Dessert next. She could be number 25 at super middleweight.
Fight the Shields, the GOAT. But yeah, look, as it says, if he can go as far as he wants, he's went away and got engaged there the last night, silly bastard. So he might not go far after all. Actually, now I think about it. But in all seriousness, no, he can go as far as he wants. It's just a matter now really getting the proper breakout fights. I mean, he's talking about they're talking about Floyd Mayweather-esque. Look, listen, it's too soon to talk about that type of thing. He's got years and years to go before he can start talking about himself in the Mayweather kind of mold, especially in terms of superstardom at least. So again, just got to get the right fights at the right time. But certainly last night was a decent
think considering him against Mayweather kind of at welterweight in a sense is worth looking at, because they didn't really have the power to get guys out of there, and et cetera, et cetera. But what's interesting about that comparison with Shakur, though, is when Floyd was at 130 pounds, he was absolutely blasting motherfuckers out of there.
Yeah.
So it gives me a curiosity that is the skill power blend enough for him moving up? Like Floyd, at 147, 154 ish. hit just hard enough to keep guys off of him, right? There's a reason he didn't go to middleweight.
Well, I was going to mention about his spatial awareness here last night. I mean, he's obviously very, very savvy how to use the ring. Create spaces and get punched on him. But you talk about like maybe the levels that Floyd beat at that weight compared to what Stevenson's face. It was only about 3 fights ago. Was it Timmy Bradley and Andre Ward were kind of shitting on him a wee bit for his performance. Forget who it was against. It was quite lackluster anyway.
Nakatila, I think.
Nakatila, aye. So as I say, is that type of it doesn't like obviously kind of look good, but you can't fault him for his last 2 performances at least. I thought he looked fantastic against Hearn. Looked good there, very good there last night, to be honest with you. But as I say, well, I don't think there's anybody stylistically at the weight just now after last night anyway, because he's beat the probably consensus number 1 or number 2 guy at the weight. I don't think there's anybody else who could probably beat him, to be honest with you. Again, maybe an off night, he gets beat on points, possibly off someone. Who knows? I still think I think Lopez is going up to 140 now. I think so. That's not going to happen at 135. It'd been ideal with the ESPN tie-in. Lomachenko's out of action. Indefinite at this point. So if he comes up, you can maybe see him. I don't know, a Richard Comey. I'm trying to think here about fighters who fight on ESPN. That William Zepeda. Guys of that ilk basically. It might even come. It might have to come to the fact that when he goes to if he goes to 140. But again, that could be a few years away, and guys have maybe moved on by that point. So you can't really kind of reasonably pick out names if it's going to be a few years down the line.
Matty, good comment there from Adam Hughes. Shakur's mom against Phil Foden's mom would be a decent trade fight.
I don't know the reference, but it looked like a comment that would be a humorous for you guys.
Phil Foden plays for Man City. He's a footballer, but they were at the fight. What fight was it in Manchester? Was it Colin Brook?
Yes, what it was.
Backstage, and there was a bit of aggro, and Phil Foden's mom was throwing hands. They should get
what happened was
title fight.
Phil Foden was getting trolled off a couple of guys or getting slapped about, and he went into the dressing room, started moaning to his mum. The next minute, his mum's came fucking out the dressing room to fight his battles for him.
It's fucking awesome.
Matty, another thing I was going to mention, this is all off the top of my head, so I hope I'm remembering it correctly. You mentioned about Floyd at lightweight. If I remember correctly, Floyd at lightweight, he moved up, fought Castillo in that controversial fight, then beat him in the rematch. Then he had a lackluster defense against Victoriano Souza, who also fought Miguel Cotto. And Floyd looked really lackluster against Souza. He went through the motions. I'm sure he won it a shutout or near as close enough. And then they put the South African Philip Undu in front of him. I remember around the time reading the Ring magazine, Boxing Monthly and all that, there were a lot of people shitting on Floyd, saying he was boring, negative, defensive. And people were picking Undu to beat him because Undu had beaten, I think it was Goyo Vargas on one of the Floyd undercards and looked really impressive. And he was a good fighter. And Floyd went out there and he was not defensive at all. He beat the shit out of Undu. He was front foot, landing bombs. That's an interesting fight to go back and watch. Wasn't as punch perfect as he was against Arturo Gatti, but he beat the shit out of Undu and he made a real statement. And that was his last fight, I believe, at lightweight before he moved up to fight Corley at light welter. So just thought I'd mention that. That was Killer Floyd at lightweight.
Yeah, and then did he fight Corrales at 130 or 135?
Corrales was down at 130.
And actually, that's the other thing as well. Some people maybe forget about that. Corrales was actually up on a domestic violence charge. He was actually was like a week away from going to court or getting sentenced.
Right. That's right.
He had a fucking crazy ass life. It not a surprising end. God rest his soul. Right. Let's see here. Just want to thank some people in the chat there. Sorry if I missed anybody. We got Mark Santon, Sad Kent, Tony Lawler, Michael Thompson, Big A, M Lithgow, MB, Joey Chaz, Adam Hughes, JG, Motor City Cobra, Josh Ford, Ricky Gravel, Tony Yayo, Stephen Hill, Andrew Thickett, Cedric Sniff, and let's see if we got one more that I didn't say in there. I don't see anyone right now. Well, pop in maybe a little bit later. Further down that undercard, Andy, when we started talking before the podcast, I was asking what you guys had seen, and I said, "Did you guys see Nico Ali Walsh?" And you didn't expect for me to say that, and I said, "Well, go to YouTube real quick." Andy, what did you see when you went to YouTube and you checked out Nico Ali Walsh?
Nico Ali Walsh. Never heard of the guy before, but he certainly sprung up on my radar actually with a fantastic knockout of an Alejandro Ibra, I think his name is 7-1.
From Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, probably high in his own supply possibly, but anyway, he's walked into a. Not so much walked in actually. Ali Walsh is through a kind of cuff him left hook, really maybe just to distract him, and then just pinged a great right hand straight in the middle, twisting off the left foot, and he's iced the guy. Just obviously, who's it? Russell Moore's waved off the fight pretty early. Oh, sorry, pretty quick, because the guy wasn't going to get up anyway. So yeah, look, I hadn't caught anything else from the card he mentioned. It was literally 5 minutes before we came on air. So yeah, I'm glad I caught that knockout, to be honest with you. So yeah, it was something more interesting for Walsh this time, rather than having to listen to Tessitore fucking talk shit about him. Thankfully, I had it on mute actually. So yeah, it was a great knockout.
And Steve, if it's at this point in time, it's really interesting. If we're talking, fighters in the race to shit on their family lineage the least. Well, Nico Ali Walsh just jumped way ahead of Campbell Hatton there. Campbell's going to have to pick it up if he's going to not look like the shittiest one of these second and third generation fighters.
Yeah, it's hard being a second, third, fourth generation fighter. We all know the Ronald Hearns and the Chavezes and the trouble you have trying to emulate your famous father. But Walsh, they're obviously going with the gimmick. You can see why they're doing it. It was a good finish. Little left hand, right hand as well in behind. Knocked him down, knocked him out. Russell Moore called it off. And Walsh, I will give him his credit in that at least he looks like he can fight. Some of these guys come to the ring for gimmick purposes and they clearly can't fight, but Walsh can. He looks like he's got decent fundamentals, technique, the corner sending him in a certain direction. I'm not going to say he's going to be a nailed-on world champion or anything, but the standards are low sometimes with these third or fourth generation fighters. And he looks like he has decent enough technique and he could go to a certain level. So he's not a complete gimmick. He's only 21 as well, so he can learn. He's knocked a few people out, barbell guiding the right way. So I have a bit of hope for Walsh, actually. I'm not going to shit on him completely. I didn't see anything else in the undercard. Friend of the pod, Sam, stayed up. And he was impressed with Muratilla. I think, is it Raymond Muratilla? He seemed to like the look of him. Obviously, Keyshawn Davis looks good as well. Ogun's son in the chat, he says, sounds like you guys are not fans of Shakur personally, but the kid especially beats everyone at 135.
What's he talking about?
Well, I mean, maybe not fan of his person. I said I wasn't a fan of his personality, but the kid, he looks class. If you rewind about 10, 15 minutes, you'll hear me praising him to high hills, saying he's going to go up to welterweight, start dominating people, and I like the look of him as a fighter. I think he's brilliant, so I'm not really sure what he's on about there.
What was supposed to say? We just gave him props there for kicking the shit out of Oscar Valdez last night. He's a unified champ, number one in the division, lineal champ now considered, basically. And we're saying that his best days are going to be at 135 because there's no test for him at 130. How is that not giving the guy praise? I just love the guy or something like. We meant to pour out this undying love for some fucking fighter. What the fuck's
I just
going
don't
on?
think he has that X factor. I don't think he's quite the package. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a Terrence Crawford
okay, if you say that, though,
when I saw
if
him.
you're saying that, does that make us no fans of the guy? Because it might
apparently
become a
so.
I mean, fuck
apparently
off, man.
so. But you know, it's all good. It's all good. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, man. Ogun's son, we're happy to have you, man. We're also happy to have our American correspondent. We have so few of us. Chase Athletics throwing $10 into the super chat. We appreciate you very much. We also
better contributor than Gabe these days.
Yeah. Absolutely. Is that Katie Taylor or is that Rob Kelly on the call? You never can tell.
Oh, thanks, Matty. Just want to thank Jesus and thank everybody for the performance last night. Just wanted to come on to show me love to the Asylum because always such big supporters of me and understated a lot of work they do for me. I know a friend of the show, Rapping Rob Kelly, had me get ready behind the scenes. We were looking for people to mimic Serrano, so Rob done his best. He was up and down the South Bronx with loads of Puerto Rican ladies to the gym to mimic Serrano. None of them could fight, but he brought them anyway. So on to the rematch now. Croke Park, Jake Paul getting that guap, 7-figure Taylor, here to take part, here to take over as a lad, I know would say so. Very happy and just want to thank all the panel, Steve Wellings, Ricky Gravel, all the guys who are behind me all the way and looking forward to the rematch.
Thank you very much, Katie. We always appreciate when you make your appearances. And
I forgot one guy as well who's always behind me and share a lot of spiritual things in common. Father Dave, he's a priest as well, you know. Yeah.
Fuck.
Evening, gents.
Rob, how are you?
Rob had to go and clear his throat there actually without it breaking up.
Oh shit. Rob, give us your thoughts right now. I'm a little bit at a loss for words.
Yeah, no, I've seen all the fights. I actually fucking woke up in the middle of the night. That's just like, oh, one of those jump scare wakes. And I was like, fuck it, I might as well stay up for the fights now. So threw a little stream on. Got the DAZN going. So saw the end of the Beefy Smith fight. How am I doing in the prediction league, by the way? Let's cut to the chase here. What's the shake up in the prediction league?
Well, Rob,
I should be winning this though.
Since you asked, since I missed that one, I'm currently at 27 points. We haven't seen Oz in quite a while, so I don't know what to say about our buddy there. Then in third place, Steve with 30 points. In second place, Andy with 31, and sitting in first,
6
Rob
points clear
with
Rob
32
Kelly.
points.
32. Nearly over, Rob.
No, so I saw the Beefy Smith fight. I saw the Taylor. Look, I gotta say, but we cane women's boxing. Well, apart from you, Maddie, we all cane women's boxing. But I have to say, the last couple of main event cards in the women's fights, Ebony Bridges versus that Gaucho, that was good value, and the Katie Taylor fight in Serrano obviously delivered last night. I thought that was really, really good. So good for them. Like good that they had a sellout show. I think, having an Irish Olympian in New York is kind of there's a hint that it might sell out. Eddie's acting all surprised, like, look what we've done here. But like, fuck me, John Duddy used to sell out the Garden. Like, so if you get somebody that with Katie's profile over there with Irish Americans and that, you're going to do good numbers. And I'm sure the Boricuas did their part as well in terms of putting asses in seats for the attendance. But the fight itself delivered. Like, I mean, you can't fucking slag the fight off. 2-minute rounds or whatever. Katie was hurt in the fifth. I said last week I thought, like, if it was a close and contentious decision, that Katie probably get it on the cards. If I was her, I would retire. I know she's probably looking at it. She's looking at a rematch in Croke Park. Eddie is giving a big talk about a rematch in Croke Park. I don't know if he has the memo yet. We haven't had a professional fight here since fellas started shooting the arses off each other at the weigh-in. So I don't know if he's got that memo yet, but maybe the landscape is clear now.
It's a shame that there's not a powerful person active in Irish boxing operating just under the radar at this time. It's a shame that there's no one in that
Look at Maddie.
position.
I've only got so much power. Like, there's only so much I can do. You know what I mean?
Not you, you fucking sack of wood.
I know, dipshit. You're ruining the joke. Fucking hell. So no, I thought the fight definitely delivered. And Shakur Stevenson, I stayed up then and watched the Shakur Stevenson Valdez fight. Fuck me, man. I thought he was brilliant. Absolutely sensational. I'm gonna get that because I look back at the prediction I gave at the start of both of their careers where I said Mick Conlon might be able to beat Shakur Stevenson. That one hasn't aged very well. Like, I think he's just shown so much maturity over the last few years. He's passed the tests that were put in front of him. I think Bob Arum is a master matchmaker. I said that loads on the pod. I think he always times it right with his prospects. And in many ways, look, Valdez was there for the taking, but he wasn't there. I don't think many people saw Stevenson, by myself, by the way, saw Stevenson giving him that kind of a shutout and that much of a beating. He probably could have done with the exclamation point on it if he's looking to cross over by getting the stoppage. But in terms of skill and ability, Jesus Christ, the guy is fucking unreal. I think he could probably go up to 140 and dominate everything down for the next few years.
147 eventually, Rob, I think,
Yeah, maybe he's a big kid. He looked big last night. Like, he probably could go up to 147, but like in terms of the southpaw style, you can tell he's doing a lot of work with Andre Ward and Bud Crawford, which are two fucking brilliant people to study from, two undefeated guys. He's picking up little tricks. I thought he had a bit of the dark arts last night. He was raking the jab into the eyes of Valdez at different times. I don't know if anyone copped that. Probably could have done with the stoppage. I think his shot selection, his range, his distance, his the way he's able to be evasive, I think he's fucking fantastic. I like the kid. I think he's, you know, in terms of, I know I'm not mad on his persona. I probably will leave a sour taste in my mouth that he gave that girl a beat up in the petrol station. I want to just come and bring it back, but that's just that. Sometimes you have to separate the fighter's personas from the fighter, and I think as a fighter, he's fucking next level, and he's probably going to dominate, and he is the next probably great American fighter. If things you know go to now, we'll have to see his metal get tested along the way. We see what kind of beard he has in that, but every time you have to say every time he's been tested so far, he has passed it with flying colors, aced it, and he looked pretty much unbeatable last night. To be honest with you, based on that performance, thought he was so good at moving in and out of range, so good at dropping, you know, changing levels on with some of the body shots he hit Valdez. Valdez has definitely shown his toughness in that fight, because I think he was hurt a lot more than he was letting on, especially to the body. But yes, a great night's work from Shakur Stevenson, and let's get him in more fights. He seems pretty active as well, and I have it on good authority. He was living the life. He's living the life at the moment. I know there was a bit of a scuffle in the MGM Grand last night afterwards between entourages, and his mother was some way involved. But I know
he
good deal
of that.
Press
conference, mate, to get involved.
Yeah, well, I know a good deal. I'd say I know about 6 fellas that were in that scuffle, and I wouldn't like to be on the other side. Put it that way. But
you knew the people who were beating the shit out of Shakur's mom?
No. On the other side, on Shakur's side, I'm mates with. I didn't know this until a couple of weeks ago, but Bleak is good friends. Bleak and Debo are good friends with Shakur's dad. So there was like an entourage of 40 Puerto Ricans that went from Miami last night to MGM, and they were hanging out with Rick Ross and Floyd and all the boys afterwards. So there was a few shots thrown there. I wouldn't like to be on the wrong side of him after meeting them all before. But aside from all that, like I think Shakur Stevenson is going to dominate in his weight class and whatever weight class he chooses to operate at for the foreseeable. And it's great to see, you know, America have another superstar, somebody that can be a crossover star. I think him and Gervonta Tank Davis are the two potential crossover stars. I like Errol Spence and I like Bud Crawford, but I don't think that they still have that kind of major appeal. Now, when they fight each other, obviously that'll be a fucking massive pay-per-view fight. But you know what I mean? Like in terms of like generating kind of crossover appeal, I think those two are the best shots at the moment. And they both look good and they both got different styles. So, like I said, what's next for Shakur Stevenson? Where does he go from here?
Yeah.
Shout out Gary Kavanagh, by the way. Give us that. Is this that's not money that's going to be considered laundered, by the way, is he? Gary?
No. Gary
Right.
Kinahan. Sorry,
I
Kavanagh.
found a name there. I got to be careful. I don't want to fucking get blocked when we try to fly to the US.
Is there no a Kavanagh involved with the great bunch of lads? What's his name?
This is
Thanks
what
for
you
the money
get.
anyway, Gary. Great bunch of lads.
Yeah, your reward for giving £50 to the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse is being accused of being involved in organized crime.
It's from KTM.
Gary
KTM
Kavanaugh,
apparently.
thank you very much. I don't think you're involved in organized crime, if that matters. That's, you know, I can't speak for these other guys. They're a bunch of kooks.
Cav the Knife Promotions, it says. Send the receipt to.
Carve the knife. Carve the knife.
I bet when that name came up, Andy was worried I was going to say Kavanagh.
No, it's called Hoon. You got problems spelling.
That I still don't understand.
I fucked you right up that, didn't it?
That Q makes no sense based on my understanding of language.
Coco, that's what it was.
Alim Kanuli, wasn't that another one, Matty? You were
that one gave me a hard time. I got it the next week though. Alim Kanuli. You just some of them they give me a damn hard time. Who doesn't give me a damn hard time is Keyshawn Davis, because his name is spelled Key, like you know what you open a door with, and Sean, AWN. So that's pretty easy. And he had an easy night work against Esteban Sanchez, just breaking him down with the jab. Exceptionally skilled kid, moving up the ladder. Steve, I know you're pretty high on him. This is definitely a blue chip prospect, if there ever was one.
No, actually, I can't confess to being. Originally, I saw him and I thought, oh, he looks okay. I'm not too bothered. But Andy assured me that he was a blue chip prospect, and I've been impressed with whatever I've seen from him since. I like the group of prospects coming up. Obviously, Terence Crawford disappearing off and making certain allegations. hasn't affected the fighters coming along. Is it Troy Isley as well? He looks decent. Duke Rajan, and obviously Keyshawn himself. So it's looking bright the future's looking bright for Top Rank, if not for Bob himself. But Keyshawn looks good. So fair play to Andy. He was a truther from the beginning, and he told me how good he is, and I'm starting to see it now.
He's also got that Richard Torres as well, mate, the heavyweight. He got badly cut in his pro debut. He seems to have fucking deathly power in that left hand. So Bob signing him up. So is Eddie. Eddie's signed up a few of the British ones as well, hasn't he? Like Gary Ali Fire, he's fighting last night as well.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a great day for boxing all in all, but I got to tell you guys, the women definitely stole the show this time around. It was a very cool experience, and it looks like everybody that was at the at Madison Square Garden had an exceptional time. It just looked crazy. So hopefully they get that rematch happening. Hopefully we see Shakur Stevenson move up to 135 and get maybe Haney or Kambosos. We shall see. We do have some questions in here, but we got a couple from Holt there, Steve.
Yeah, the first one's more of a quip. He's a sick man, is Holt. No wonder he doesn't watch boxing. Can you imagine that on the screen?
Holt, is the GOAT versus Better BF the best matchup to be made in boxing?
She'd ice him with that legendary power.
I don't know, but I'm here to see it. If we can get it made.
Yeah, considering current climate and just the type of people they are, this would probably be the most viewed event in the history of Russia.
But we're already seeing a kind of Chernobyl effect in boxing these days over the last couple of weeks anyway. So we're all here for that. This would be like rivers of blood.
He'd leave her with a hairline fracture.
Fucking hell, man. I mean, it would be so bad actually that the quotes people would be crying racism.
Hey, my question is, because we got to make sure we're calling this fight correctly. Is it over 3-minute rounds or 2-minute rounds, Holt? That's
it could be 1 minute round, I think.
Is that a 10 minute or 12 round?
We have a no-minute round.
Oh shit! All right, let's see here. Let's see if he has an actual question in there. Yeah. On a more serious note, in your hardcore days, what was the worst U.S. international fight you stayed up all night for? I think I remember said he stayed up all bloody night for fucking Ishe Smith. What was that? What, Ishe Smith against Bundridge? Or
no, it was no. She's name. Him used to come out to the ring with the lion headdress on.
Sharif Boger.
Sharif Boger.
Oh yeah.
He fought Ishe Smith.
No, it wasn't Ishe Smith. I need to check to find out who it was he fought.
Was it not Cornelius Bundridge Smith, Andy? Was that not one of the worst fights of all time?
Yeah, the majority decision. I remember that one. Oh, what's his name? I'll find that. That's name. I'm not in the Sharif Boger.
One that annoys me that I stayed up for was Floyd Mayweather versus Robert the Ghost Guerrero, because Mayweather just was looking like fucking $1 million in the first half of the fight, and then he hurt his hand and decided he wasn't going to risk hitting him anymore to get the knockout and just cruise to decision. Actually, the Berto one was pretty bad as well. Berto one was worse, I think.
The Floyd one?
When he just was in cruise mode, when he looking up at the clock and all that, like moving Berto around, it was a joke. Like.
Saying thanks to his dad. I found that fight, Matt. It was Sharif Boger against Richard Abril. It was so bad that Richard Abril actually dropped the D off his first name. That's how really shocking it was, man.
The distance himself from himself.
The worst UK one remains.
You stole my line, you son of a bitch.
Sorry, man.
What was the UK one, mate?
Worst UK one remains to me to this day, Audley Harrison versus David Harry. I cannot believe they got me for the fucking pay-per-view for that. Still to this day. That's probably why I hate Eddie Hearn, man. That's I don't really know where it stemmed from. That's probably where it is.
Well, you cleverly too. It was horrible, and it was equally shite undercard. It was horrendous.
I've got one, Matty. Not only did I stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning to watch it, but I also paid pay-per-view, right? This is going back into history. Before Setanta Sports became Setanta, they had a pre-Setanta channel. It was called Setanta.
Pre-Tanta?
Well, yeah, pretty much. But before they got big into the boxing and got the investment, I think I'm remembering this right, they used to have little pay-per-views from America in the night, and Frank Maloney put one on, and they had another one anyway. It was Bernard Hopkins against Murad Hakkar.
I've seen that one.
He was like a French guy. and it was a tenner, and you had to ring up and order
That's
it.
right.
Like,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And it was an absolute fucking stinker. It was
He
a stinker.
ran, Rob, for like 8 rounds and then I can't remember if he got stopped or the referee just had enough and stopped the fight. I stayed up for that. I'm pretty sure David Tua fought Hasim Rahman on the undercard. But
Actually,
I paid a tenner and I stayed up for that.
You're bringing back
Jones.
Fucking B-Hop Roy Jones too. 4th of April 2010. I know that because that was the night. Unfortunately, my mother passed away the next day. But I had the night before. I had fucking stayed up to watch fucking B-Hop Roy Jones 2. What a fucking horrific fucking shitfest that was. Unbelievable.
That was awful.
That was awful. Steve, you remember this one? Remember the night that Tyson fought Julius Francis in Manchester,
yes.
right? On the undercard was Joe Calzaghe against David Starry.
Oh,
the worst fights.
Was that
ever,
Judah not
man.
on that undercard, or was that?
Yeah,
Savarese
he fought Junior Witter, didn't he?
That was the Savarese one.
No,
I think,
that was
Glasgow?
Savarese.
Yeah, Ricky Hatton was on that card, mate, and Mario Vite. Michael Gomez was on it as well, I'm sure. Takalu. But I remember David Starry running like a thief the entire fucking somehow he run 2 rounds, I have no idea.
I used to work with a one from London, and she was convinced that she knew Julius Francis, and she was going around work taking bets that he was going to win. Fucking nowhere to be seen one day. That one.
Didn't he have the sun on the bottom of his shoes?
Yeah, I was just going to say he had a sponsor. He had a newspaper sponsor on the sole of his shoe, didn't he? Like fucking big Julius.
I think I woke up one time to watch Anthony Mundine against Shane Mosley.
Here, you actually need to go and check. You need to go and check the video of Mike Tyson in London for that fight. Actually, Frank Warren took him out shopping for jewellery, right? And they went down to Brixton in London, and it was a sea of bodies. You think, it was a guy coming off a rape conviction, coming out of jail, coming to the UK for a fight, and he was still loved. It was unbelievable.
It was unreal. I was just going to say that, dude. It's like it's hard for in this era where everyone's a star
Oh,
and social media and all. Like, and that was Tyson at the fucking end. Like, 88 was a long time away from fucking 96. Like, to come and to 99, I think that was 2000, wasn't it, when he came to Britain? And the drawing power, you'd swear the fucking Beatles were in town. It was unbelievable.
2000, Rob, yeah.
Yeah, I remember when Floyd was there in London. Actually, that's probably the last fighter I can think of for America. After Tyson was to draw a crowd. It was Floyd. He says there was people up on the roof. He was driving the car. There was kids cycling along trying to catch him in the car. There was just
Manjaro's was packed.
Aye, Manjaro's was packed. Fucking British Hair Clinic was busy as well, by all accounts.
Double glazing being put in all over the capital.
So it just shows you, aye.
How old were you when you no longer had hair, Andy? Like, if the
14, 15.
Really?
I was quite young,
God damn it! You never had a chance. Like the British Hair Clinic had been 2 decades before it.
It was only a wig you could wear back in them days. What's the point? You just shave it off.
Son of a bitch.
It was funny because you used to see all the guys kicking about all the fancy hairdos, spending like £100 on like spiky hair, spending like half an hour in the morning trying to get it all sorted out. Your man here had to get up out of that shit. Just up out of bed, quick wash, way to business.
Did you never consider Andy having the Bobby Charlton, letting it grow into the...
Fuck? You kidding me, man? I grew up watching the old school footballs and that, so I can remember seeing that. I had no chance.
You need the tongue. You need the tongue pole, man. You need the fucking tongue pole or the kickbox.
Tongue pole.
Ponytail down the back.
Exactly. Something like David Diamante. Something right down his asshole.
Did you and a friend ever use it to get to the front of the line in amusement parks or something, being like, "Oh, this is my friend. He has cancer."
No. But my gran died about a few times when I was at school trying to get the time off. Maybe 6 times I think she died when I was at school.
So did the fucking third team goalkeeper. I used to ring the cunt that Sunday. Oh, I can't, man. I have to go to my granny's funeral. It's like, how many grannies this cunt got? Like, he's fucking died.
Stephen Ireland.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like Stephen Ireland.
Ricky Gravel throwed 449 into the super chat. Said Andy on the Value vs. Cleverly Post Fight Pod was quote unquote vicious, mate.
I've not listened back to that. But I remember I was slightly annoyed at that card. It was one of the most horrific I'd ever seen.
If that had happened today, someone would be phoning the helpline for you. I'm convinced.
Oh, they would have.
Go through that alone, dude.
Alex Morris, the Samaritan advert for the Samaritans.
100%. Oh, I just seen a comment. Michael Thompson in the chat saying obviously talking about the worst fights we've seen late at night. Manny Pacquiao against Floyd Mayweather. I got to agree with that, because that just shit the bed from start to finish.
Well, speaking of shit in the bed, Andy, here's a fella who's done anal on the call. How are you, Tommy?
Evening, counsellor. Your legal representations here. So, listen, if any of the MTK listeners are listening, or any of you great bunch of lads, we're lawyers in the building here just now. So, just
tread lightly.
And if any of you are listening, it's too late now. We should have took the money ages ago. The block is hot now. Don't fucking just no point giving it to us now. We needed it a long time ago.
No, we'll take it in cash, Rob. We'll take it in cash. Just non-sequential bills, though.
Tony, what brings you on today, sir?
Great fights.
Which one did you think was the greatest?
Well, in terms of display of mastery of their craft, obviously Shakur Stevenson. In terms of a great fight, obviously Serrano Taylor. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and just as a fan, it was a fucking fantastic fight, and I just love that they packed Madison Square Garden for an event like that. I love that the Puerto Ricans were out, the Irish were out, and the joint was packed. And, what a great event for women's boxing, because a lot of women have been leaving boxing to go to MMA because there's there's not enough competition or whatever. But they managed to make this great fight, and I loved it, and it was back and forth. I'm not even sure who won. I'd love to see it again.
So did you think after they read the first two cards that the third one was going to be 95-95?
I actually don't even know what you guys have been saying about it. I haven't listened to anything. I just tuned in right now. So just from my own, personal perspective, did I think the third one would be a draw? Well, no, obviously I didn't, because they said split decision. So I knew it wasn't. I knew it wasn't going to be a draw. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I honestly, I could have gone either way.
Yeah, I think calling it a robbery was wrong.
No. Certainly not a robbery. I've saw people on Twitter saying that.
Yeah,
that's fucking nuts. Like that. Yeah, that was not a robbery by any stretch. I mean, anybody who says that, hasn't seen Chavez Whitaker.
It's just because a couple of cards are slightly too wide. I think because Taylor's been given the benefit of the doubt in any close rounds with that 97 scorecard, I think.
Only giving Serrano 3 rounds was
like
wrong.
That, the younger, more marketable fighter got the benefit of the doubt, maybe, but still, I mean, it was still a close fight. I mean, you can't call it a robbery. You could just say that the fighter that people wanted got the benefit of the doubt. But you know what? People could have these arguments, and we could do it again. I mean, and honestly, frankly, in women's boxing, for better or for worse, the money isn't as big of a deal, because the money isn't as big. So they could easily make this fight again. So to just do it. I mean, people loved it. I mean, they're gonna pack Madison Square Garden again, and they'll do it again.
Oh, it would make tons of money again, and I think that's what's going to bring them back to the table. And the one person that I haven't given any credit to on that is Jake Paul. Jake Paul working to put this event together, getting them a strong payday, being very supportive, becoming excuse me, a little bit of a student of the game in his commentary too. You can tell he's taking this seriously. Giving him a lot of shit over the last couple of years, but I really have to take my hat off to Jake Paul on this. But I do have to nominate him later on top of everything. But nonetheless, they put on a fantastic event. You got to give them credit for that. It's good to see people working together to make this kind of stuff happen.
Matty, what do you think about the fact that Eddie and Jake Paul pushed themselves to the forward, two men trying to promote the women's fights? Was it because the women weren't capable of doing it, or
caught measuring at his finest between the two, making it all about themselves?
Yeah,
Eddie wakes up in the morning and says to himself, "Listen, Eddie, it's not about you, but it's go make it about you." That's what Eddie does.
Yeah, but you know what though? I mean, honestly, if you're one of the participants, if the tickets are sold and the pay-per-views are sold, do you really care?
What do you mean?
What I mean to say is that Eddie Hearn and Jake Paul have a higher profile than. Unfortunately, it's not fair. The fighters should really have the bigger profile, but because it's women's boxing, if they're the ones putting themselves out there and making themselves bigger than the fight, like, well, so be it. But if it sells tickets and if it generates interest, then if I was a participant in that fight, I wouldn't really care so much.
Yeah, I think it takes the pressure off Katie Taylor, isn't it? She's not. I know we take the piss on the pot or whatever, but she's not comfortable trash talking opponents or anything. Like, she's a born again Christian. She's a very nice person, a very humble person. Like, she's not going to fucking generate interest in pay-per-views by trash talking fucking Amanda Serrano. Like, she even felt uncomfortable in the head-to-head. You could see when Helwani, is that his name, or whoever was doing the fucking head-to-head was asking her, like, saying, how do you think Serrano's going to win the fight? She's convinced she's going to beat you. Like, she doesn't look comfortable like giving those kind of answers where like the Guode or Ebony Bridges or fucking Shannon Courtney or whatever, they're much more comfortable with that. Like, so I think it kind of works with her promoter doing all the talking for her, and her promoter has done a fantastic job with him, and I think with her, and I think he deserves a lot of credit. So massive shout to Brian Peters for getting it done.
I thought of you, Andy, when I saw him dancing in the ring at the end. I'm sorry, Rob, I thought of you.
And Adam Smith as well at Sky.
I couldn't stand. I know I shouldn't say this. Like, I not really like that with people. People don't really get to me that way. Like, but I only met him a couple of times, and he probably can't even remember meeting me. Like, but I couldn't fucking stand him. I could not stand Brian Peters, man.
He's an acquired taste. Yeah.
Oh, Mac, Mac Love out of Father Tate. That's what he reminds me of. Couldn't take to him whatsoever. But anyway, that's a sidebar. Go on.
Matty, no, Donnie's actually right. I was being slightly facetious. If Eddie and Jake Paul getting together is going to get them better paid and get a better profile, then I'm not against that at all. I was kind of just being devil's advocate.
No, absolutely.
It's just a bit of banter. I'm just breaking Eddie's balls at the end of the day. He knows the score. Even Ed.
He's been upset this week, wasn't he, with Sky?
I know. Bean doing a great job by doing nothing. Fucking fantastic.
How dare fucking we'll never forget want to promote the fantastic fight that he was actually shown, other than the one that was on an app that he had absolutely nothing to do with. What was going on with him? Fucking outrageous.
He's probably kind of sitting talking to his bottle of ketchup or something like that,
So George Atwell sent us something for debate through the Facebook message, and he said, "Debate for the pod, quite lengthy one. I'm debating with a pal on who, at the height of their career, was bigger, whether liked or disliked or regardless of ability, etc., more well-known, more influential, etc. Hatton around 2005 to 2009, or Tyson Fury 2018 to 2022. My thought is Hatton was in the biggest pay-per-view numbers in UK at 4 a.m. in America, outselling Fury at 10 p.m., fighting on home soil. His argument was fighting Mayweather and Pac-Man means you're undoubtedly having high numbers, but I think that's what made him all the more known. He was the main face of British boxing for a few years, was more accessible as a lot of fights on normal TV. His argument is that Hatton wouldn't have done 94,000 at Wembley. However, my counter was he never opted to go bigger than your standard arenas. However, took 30K to Vegas, which Fury never would have. Interest on the pod's thoughts and a snapshot of their peak. Who would have been more well known? Hatton pay-per-view figures trump Fury, but Fury had a higher gate at Wembley. Cheers, boys. Well, and how many people went for a meaningless fight to see Hatton against Lascano? I mean, wasn't that like over 60,000 people for that pointless fight?
Matty, usually when Steve used to hold the pod, he used to actually give the first comment to somebody else.
I'm adding it to the question as another figure. So anyway,
easy on, Donnie.
Oh, yeah. Judge Donnie and Councillor Donnie.
So, anyways, Andy, your perspective.
Well, again, look, Hatton was a force at that time. Obviously, he had that working class roots. I would probably go with Fury because you talk about influence, or just like say the bigger star in the sport as such. Are you talking about like the transcending?
He's just saying who is just the bigger star in the sport. I got
to say Fury. Fury, he's got. I know Ricky's got a bit of cheeky banter, does a bit of stand-up comedian and stuff, but Tyson Fury has got the gift of the gab. Talks a fair bit of shit at the end of the day. We all know this. Bit of charisma about him. Got that backstory, I suppose, in that as well. Chucking all that weight off to regain his belts. Plus, he's also fighting in the marquee division, so it's going to get more eyes. Going to get more interest. All the big stars come out. Yeah, all the big stars come out for it. I mean, Fury's got WWE wrestlers. Triple H, for example. Sending messages. That type of thing.
Has he done cocaine with the Gallagher brothers in Mexico after a fight?
No, they've both done cocaine. Him and Hatton have both done the drugs. They've both done the drink as well. They've done a lot of money.
Has he done
But
cocaine with the Gallaghers? Maybe.
You don't want to be the one that saves me.
I was going to go to Donnie next, but how about Rob?
I'll say Fury. I'll say Fury because it's the bigger division, more marquee division. And it's
Okay.
More exposure.
I can buy that. Rob, your thoughts?
What's the question? Who's the bigger star, Ricky Hatton or Tyson Fury?
Yeah, at their peak.
At their peak, it's got to be. I don't know. The era changes so quickly. I mean, at his peak, Ricky Hatton, I thought, was a good British fighter who was able to operate at world level, who kind of just fell short in his marquee moments against Floyd and Pacquiao. Well, not just fell short. He got his ass beat both times in different ways, but I think because of that, the star power, the undefeated record, the era that we live in now with social media, Fury's the man, dude. And he has turned it around spectacularly. To think that he was able to go and sell 94,000 tickets without a real dance partner. No disrespect to Dillian White, by the way. That's not a shot at him. I do like Dillian White. I keep saying that. I just think in terms of like a dance partner on a level where it's an opponent that's going to give him, he had that with Wilder, but it was over in the States. It's an opponent that could give him trouble. He's able to do 94,000 tickets.
Yeah, 93,000 of them were there to see Tyson Fury.
Exactly, and before that, he couldn't draw flies. So his story, the way he's kind of like the way things have evolved for him, which is or the public say his public persona, right? The way his public persona has evolved over the last 4 to 5 years. I've always thought Fury was the man. I do kind of feel a little bit vindicated when I see that he's been able to become this and eclipse Joshua as a star. But like 4 years ago, I kind of joined the pod 4 or 5 years ago. It was on the pod when I think it's 4 years, is it, or 5 years since Klitschko and AJ fought each other. I was on the pod at that stage, and I used to say, like, at that stage, AJ's going to blow up, someone's going to beat him. I always said AJ had nothing for Fury. I used to think Fury was the better of the two of them. So to see him kind of have his moment and eclipse Joshua as the public star, based on something that people can kind of relate to, like losing the weight, the comeback story, the fucking never give up, the fucking flat on the canvas against Wilder, the 3 wars with Wilder, or the 2 wars that followed with Wilder, and just to have his big marquee moment, I think he's a bigger star than anyone in the sport at the moment. I think the only person that can touch him is Canelo, and that's because of the Latin fan base.
The other thing is, those Wilder fights were spoken about for weeks afterwards, after the event, weeks and weeks, even to this day. So, I suppose Hatton's big moment that people normally talk about all the time would be Costa Zoo.
And he talks about it as well a bit.
Aye, he went life and death with him.
Well, and Donnie, for Americans, I mean, if we're talking about global known, Americans, unfortunately, pretty much know Ricky Hatton from Floyd knocking him into the ring post. Americans know Tyson Fury for the Wilder fights, for his persona, for his ring entrances. I have to think, if you're taking into account the United States market, it's really no contest. Tyson Fury has a way bigger star here than Ricky Hatton ever did.
Fury had a network deal in America, which is something that Hatton never had. He was on HBO, wasn't he? He had a couple of nights on HBO, but he didn't have like the kind of network contract behind him or whatever. And I remember he fought
Castillo on there, 4th round knockout, HBO. Great body shot.
And I actually thought I favored Castillo to beat him that night. I thought he would lose that fight, but I was in America. I was in America when he fought Floyd, and people didn't really know him, man. The man in the street didn't know who Ricky Hatton was. I'm not going to not that I interviewed all of the Americans, by the way. It's just a very select few in Boston, but most people had never heard of Ricky Hatton.
Well, the thing is about Hatton is that, I mean, first of all, just try to think about this. If he was in the division he was in a world or in an era where Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao didn't exist, this guy would have been a fucking superstar, because he would have just cleaned out the division and he would have laid waste to all of his competition. But because he lived in an era with Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, he was mostly famous because, I mean, at least in America, because of his opponents. Because he was the guy that everybody had to beat in order to establish supremacy within the division. So I mean, Tyson Fury, on the other hand, is actually the guy, right? I mean, like he beat all the other guys. I mean, he beat Wilder, like, you know, he beat White, he beat everybody. And so, I mean, it's hard to say that Hatton could be the biggest superstar because, as Matty just said, the, you know, indelible image of Hatton is, you know, him getting knocked into that ring post. I hate to say it because, like, his career is so much more than that, but I mean, that's how you remember him kind of going out, is just
or laid out next to the Rockstar Energy fucking.
Just don't worry, Donny.
being
Donny, don't worry, because
obliterated by
soon
I mean, the
he's going to
Pacquiao
fight Barrera
The
again.
Pacquiao punch was just so fucking nasty. Like, you know, I mean, that was just like one punch, pow, you know, and he just, I mean, wow, yeah, it was crazy. You know, but I remember watching that, like, at home, and I was like, wow, like, you know.
That was one of my worst picks as well. I picked Ricky Hatton to beat Pacquiao. I was going with the old adage. Yeah, I was going with the old.
I did that as well, mate. I had money on him. I had money on him that night.
Good big man beats the small man, and you know what it was? I was sick for picking against Hatton because I picked Eamon McGee to beat Hatton. He nearly got him, but he didn't. And I was convinced Manny Pacquiao was just fucking Hatton was just going to move Pacquiao to the ropes and wail on him. And I was like, and after the first round, I think we all, me, him, and Floyd Mayweather Sr. had the same expression on our face, like, what the fuck?
But I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm just going a little bit beyond the scope of the question, but I got to be honest. I mean, and maybe it's a marketing thing. Maybe it's I want to, you know, get the lion's share of the money thing. But the thing about Hatton is that he was a people's fighter. That, you know, like, if somebody came up to him on this, where did he live again? I forgot.
Manchester.
Manchester. If somebody came up to Ricky Hatton on the streets of Manchester and said, like, you know, this guy's gonna kick your ass or whatever, like Ricky Hatton would want to fight that guy, right? Because he was a people's champion. And
he was probably drunk at the time.
Well, maybe he was.
That was just Michael Gomez in a sitting room.
But I mean, with Tyson Fury saying, you know, there's no other more sacred thing in boxing than the undisputed heavyweight championship. And for Tyson Fury to say, I'm going to retire, when there's a belt out there and there's a willing participant in terms of music, and to have him say that I'm done, I'm not going to fight or whatever. I get it. It might be about trying to get the lion's share of the money, but it actually upsets me as a fan.
Donnie, you're a lawyer, dude. You're a lawyer. Read between the fucking lines. The block is hot. Of course he's fucking retiring. Fellas are getting their assets fucking frozen left, right, and center. He's been on fucking camera announcing that his advisor made the biggest fight of all time. He's fucking shouting out Kinahan, and then he put out a plan. He said, my next 4 fights are Dillian White, Anthony Joshua rematch, one against Derek Chisora to retire. That all changed within a week of fucking Kinahan getting pinched, and now he's retiring. I alluded to it last week, but I'm fucking totally skeptical about his retirement. I think he's trying to fucking.
BBC are writing to him in 2 weeks' time. I think they're wanting something.
Yeah, but he's been asked about it a second and third time, and he's like, no, it's absolute. It kind of reminds me of the shit that Hagler. That Leonard pulled with Hagler. I'm retired, or whatever, and then he's like waiting for the right. I don't know. I just pisses me off.
I think there's more that meets the eye to this. I mean, fucking Top Rank have basically Aram himself has come out and said, look, we paid Kinahan 3 or 4 million in consultancy fees. Now, why is a consultant in a boxing fucking match getting 3 or 4 million? That means somebody got paid that fucking 3 or 4 million in cash, maybe. This is a fucking launder in plain sight through the front door. So. No, I don't want to. Tyson Fury is one of my favorite fighters. I don't want to link him to anything that's going to fucking potentially impact him or whatever.
Is he 33 or 34?
I haven't a clue.
I think it's 33.
34 Fury.
Rob, you're just conspiratorial, man. Like when he opens
says the man who lives in conspiracy theories.
When he opens up his new chain of fast food restaurants in the coming couple of years. I'm sure that all of that is very legit. It's not to cover anything.
Well, listen, you're not the first person to accuse me of being cynical. My wife kind of does that every day of the week, but that doesn't mean I'm not telling the truth. You know what I mean?
Somebody said Hatton had way more fans. Well, yeah, I mean, but he brought the fans over to watch him lose.
Yeah, but they still came over in their vast numbers. Virulent football,
and also like you can't even compare that in the fucking COVID era. People are afraid to travel. Fuck that, man.
You need to remember as well,
Tyson Fury came over and conquered America, conquered the fucking heavyweight division. Like, get the fuck out of here with this question. Like,
Ricky Hatton's fans drank the MGM out of alcohol.
I'm not going to say that, but what I'm going to say is you think about generational wise. You have idea how many, not so much fans, but in terms of like say, people who took up the sport because of Ricky running about that area. Guy was a fucking legend, man, didn't there? It's understated to how much he was loved. Actually, I've heard stories, for example, where I'm not trying to slag the guy, obviously, because he's had his problems in the past and that as well. But there was one time he got a wee bit kind of ratty with someone trying to get a photograph or ask him how he was, that type of thing. And someone had to say to him, "Look, these people love you, man. They're just caring about you, just asking you questions, that type of thing." So it was very much love. At the end of the day, look, I have never watched any other fighter with groups of guys or boxing fans than I did with Ricky Hatton. Like house parties, like what you guys do with pay-per-views in America. House parties, stay up at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, doing up to all sorts of shit, man. Ricky Hatton did all that, you know.
Yeah, Mike Tyson was a good.
Tyson, but I was like 9-year-old when he was on top. I couldn't get up to this. So half the shit I was doing.
Yeah, Ricky Hatton was like, but the thing is though, how big was Hatton though if he didn't have Mayweather and Pacquiao to fight though?
He was massive, mate. He was filling out arenas over here for years before he fought even Costa Zoo. You know, it was just the fact is because he was number one ranked, or he was light welterweight champion at the time. You had Floyd and Manny. Well, Manny was still kind of on that ascendancy drive at that time, wasn't he? He was knocking out everybody. He just beat. Was it David Diaz? I think he just beat at 135. Then moved to 140. Or I try to kind of mind.
Look, I mean, but by the way, what I'm saying is, I love Ricky Hatton. Like, don't get me wrong. I love the guy, but I mean, you know,
he'd called out Floyd for years. Actually, he wanted that Floyd fight for years,
and he did a good job against him too. I mean, like I thought he was winning that fight early doors.
Ronnie Shields had him up after 6 rounds, I think.
Yeah. I mean, he was beating Floyd in my opinion through like the first 6 rounds, but.
His rhythm, that was the first 6 rounds of that fight was the last time Ricky had that fucked up rhythm. Well, the Pauly fight, he still did some good stuff in the Pauly fight, but he got too left hand happy. You know, like
I'll tell you,
there was no reason he shouldn't have even beat Senchenko when he came back. He just kept throwing that left hand, so Senchenko kept moving to his left. If Hatton would have just started throwing that right hand like he landed on Malignaggi a handful of times,
I'll tell you nothing about the Malignaggi fight as well. How much a star Ricky was. Do you ken that Sky had, at that time there wasn't so many sports channels at that time on Sky, but they had dedicated an entire week towards Malignaggi's fights, Ricky Hatton's fights, just the build up for Ricky's comeback fight in Manchester after he fought. I think he fought Pauly after he fought Floyd in Manchester. I think so. Obviously, the big build up did 50,000 or 60,000 at Manchester City Stadium. So you could fill it at a stadium as well. Do you know fight Senchenko at Manchester as well in the City Stadium? I'm pretty certain he did. Or was it the MEN?
I think it was the MEN.
Was it the MEN? 20,000 still.
He's coming back, Andy, to fight Pereira.
Pereira.
He fight Father Dave now.
Fuck, you see the size of Ricky these days. I bet I'm going to watch it to see if he wears a vest. See if he's... you know how Tyson did against Roy Jones. I think
he can't get away with that, surely.
Mate, can you imagine the moves? Chippy tits, as Ozzy would say.
MB asked, should Hatton have had a step up after Castillo? Well, that's a weird one, man, because you got to think about that. Wasn't Castillo like
Castillo was washed at that point for me?
Well, hold on, no, it would go back. Wasn't he only 1 or 2 fights after fighting Floyd at that point in time? Like Castillo going up to 140, like that was, or no, he was at 140. Did he fight Floyd at 135 or 140? I'm trying to remember now.
It was a 140 champion, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I mean, he was, and people, and he fought Floyd close both times, whether you thought that he won one of them or not.
Yeah, I've just pulled up his record here. So he fought Corrales back to back. They had 2 great battles, and he fought Hatton 2 years later and stopped him 4. I'm sure Hatton broke his ribs actually as well with that left hook.
So
after
he was just out of the ring for a couple of years, basically, more so than anything, and people wouldn't have had a clue he was Walsh.
He fought a couple of non-scripted opponents. One was a WBC light welterweight eliminator. Then he fought, I remember Larry Merchant even saying that, you know, I know Larry Merchant's no the kind of, you know, yardstick to be kind of like fair on fighters, shall we say sometimes, but even he said Castillo was washed up. But he was like 60 fights into his career by that point, you know, so a lot of wear and tear.
Well, and he also fought. You got to think who he fought there. I mean, he fought basically everyone at 140 because he fought he fought Urango there too at 140, didn't he?
Urango, that's right. I remember that name.
And it was just him. Molinaju was the only one there, and I think he always knew he could kick Paulie's ass because he didn't have the firepower to keep him off him.
I remember the Carlos Mauser knockout. Chin in the air. I'm sure it was after the Zoo fight, actually, believe it or not.
Yeah, Mauser had beaten Vivian Harris, hadn't he, to get the title, I think.
Yeah, remember what was the one actually he got dropped in the first round? He could have was it the Collazo fight? He could have lost that one.
No, he dropped Collazo in the first fight, and then Collazo fought him back.
Eamon McGee was the one who hurt Hatton, but that was way early in his career. He could have stopped him if he'd have been fitter.
You know what the odds were on a first round stoppage for fucking Eamon McGee? 100 to 1. Do you know how much Rob Kelly had on that fight? 100 quid.
You fucking
and that just goes to show, like, over the years I've had more money than sense, and I haven't had a lot of sense, so it wouldn't be fucking hard. I can't believe fucking Donnie Baseball doesn't believe this is the real Katie Taylor, by the way. What's giving him that impression? Fuck's sake. All right, Donnie. Watching any movies lately?
And then watching blue movies like
Barry Hearn.
MPs.
That's it.
Barry Hearn, I fucking loves these Southeast Asian soft porn videos.
Well, I tell you what, right? While we're on Barry Hearn and every promoter having their links to nefarious characters being investigated, any update on Baza? No.
Wait, some guy just said, would Ricky Hatton beat Luke Campbell today?
Yeah.
No, Campbell, his son, Campbell Hatton, I think he's referring to.
Oh.
I thought you said Luke Campbell. Sorry, aye.
I fancy him versus Campbell, man.
He says, would Ricky beat Campbell today? He's obviously talking about Ricky Hatton and Campbell Hatton, I would imagine.
His old man beat... No, I'd fancy my old man to beat Campbell Hatton now, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah. Wait. Well, today?
Aye, and he's in his 90s, for Christ's sake.
Well, actually, you know what? Shout out to Ricky. Ricky's having that exhibition against Pereira, is it?
Yeah.
Aye.
That's going to be a sellout, and there's an interesting fight on the undercard.
Honestly, even after like at least a decade and a half of coke, I would still take Ricky any day.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. Pereira's probably maybe looked after himself a little bit better, but on the undercard there's an Irish rapper called Casper Walsh from a group called Versatile, who I don't really know that guy, but I know a lot of people that are close to him. But he's fighting a guy from Lewisham, who I do know, another rapper called Don Strapsy. So they're fighting each other. Don Strapsy is a very good rapper from back in the day, and I think he's a football coach as well. So the two boys are super fit. They're up for it anyway, and they're going to have a rumble on the undercard. Talk about bizarre shit that I never thought I'd be fucking talking about.
I know, man.
Sounds like a serious event.
I didn't know there were 3 Irish rappers.
Fuck off. The other fellas from Lewisham. I said, you think that's an island? Only 2.
I think Matty Adam Hughes, when he says, would Ricky beat Campbell, I think he means Ricky Gravel.
Possibly so.
That's the fight we all want to see next for Campbell Hatton.
I don't know. I have no idea about Ricky. I just can't take a guess. But I bet Barrera would beat Campbell Hatton today.
Isn't Barrera looking a bit heavy as well? Last time I saw him.
I've seen an interview with Morales and Barrera together just recently, and fucking Morales just put some timber on.
Morales is big, isn't he? Yeah.
Fucking huge, man. He's like Maidan-esque.
Must have been hanging out with Fernando Vargas, man. He's fat.
I mean, but if you think about it, like
hanging out the back of us.
Any given like 5'7", 5'8" man, I mean, isn't meant to be 130 pounds. I mean, of course they're going to put on a few pounds. I mean, you got to train down.
Yeah, a few, not 80.
What's that?
I said a few, not 80.
Well, Campbell is staying hungry anyway. Campbell is he's staying very hungry. He's going back to the council estates that his dad grew up in to take photographs in front of to show his hunger.
Probably get robbed.
Yeah. He wouldn't want to. No, I'll not say that.
Is Naz still looking beefy these days?
Naz, man. Oh, fuck's sake. I'm actually surprised Naz hasn't entertained the comeback for the exhibition yet, but don't rule it out. It just won't be against Pereira.
You know what? Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, I could see him doing like a Mike Tyson, Roy Jones thing. Yeah, I could see him doing that.
Oh, he's way too fat, man.
What weight, though? Fat bastard weight?
Yeah, he's at the fucking Mike Tyson, Roy Jones weight.
Okay, now.
Great fighter in his day, though. Give him credit. I give him credit. Naz, he was a good fighter. Probably a shade overrated, but by the Brits, but whatever.
He had some of the best fucking entrances ever. As far as putting on a show, there's few that can touch Naz.
If anyone in the UK had ever seen Hector Camacho before, maybe his fucking shtick wouldn't have gone over that well. But apparently they didn't know who he was.
Hector Camacho was, oh Christ's sake, man! I could tell I could fucking speak for about an hour on that guy. The amount of shit that he's pulled, the amount of clunge he's been fucking into. You know, a guy who's never really achieved these for what he actually achieved is phenomenal. Because considering he actually was fucking about all that time, if he'd actually kind of like screwed the nut and kept his weight properly, he could have fucking dominated 130. Dominated.
Yep, absolutely. And he was in an era where there was a lot of great fighters as well.
Yep, 100%.
Quality fighter, Camacho, very good fighter.
Yep. Well, I think we should cut the conversation off there. Otherwise, we're going to end up at 3 hours.
Wait, can I ask one question before we go?
Sure.
No.
What division was Junior Jones in back in the day?
Missionary.
Featherweight, I'm sure.
Yeah, Junior Jones.
Lightweight, was he? No.
He never fought. He
fought Barrera, didn't know?
He fought Barrera twice. He fought Paul Ingle as well, didn't he? Ingle stopped
but why didn't he fight the Prince?
Who knows, man? There was a couple that Prince didn't fight, by the way. There was
that fight.
Yeah. Derek Smoke Gaynor. Do you remember that?
Morales Marquez as well. Yeah.
Gaynor was like a flash in the pan. He was hot shit for a while, and then he
Derek Gaynor, you're talking about here.
Yeah, he lost to Chris John, didn't he?
Yeah, decent fighter by the way. He was a decent fighter, Derek Gaynor.
He used to take out like one-page adverts in Ring Magazine and Boxing Monthly, calling out Hammett.
Yeah.
Fact. Yeah, therefore, yeah, he did that. He was with Roy Jones, wasn't he? Was he training with Jones?
He must be. He's
Derek Smoke Gaynor was from Jacksonville. Jacksonville. And he was Roy Jones's best friend. Yeah.
Like myself, me and Roy very close.
Cockfighting.
Got to shout out before your wedding.
We're always cockfighting, me and Roy. We can't stop. We can't get enough of the cockfighting.
Oh lordy. Well. I know that, we'll move this on because I know that Steve likes getting some amount of sleep at night. And we're probably, getting close to midnight there.
It's all right, Matty. I'm just up at 5 in the morning, so you can.
Yeah, okay. I don't want to
Steve wakes up at 6, so.
But
9:45 over there.
The only thing that we really have going on this coming week is a good one. A card coming from the United States with Canelo Alvarez against Dimitri Bivol for Bivol's 175-pound title. But we'll hit the undercard real quick. Got a 112-pound fight between Joselito Velasquez and Jose Soto. Velasquez 14-0-1, 9 knockouts. And he's 5'4" with a 58-inch reach. A very, very small man. 5'5" for Jose Soto, who lost by DQ in his last fight. And Velasquez has a draw with a 5-2 fighter on his record. I don't know if that's going to be the fourth fight on the card, or if it's going to be Shakram Diasov against Christian Gomez. They share an opponent in Echeverria. Diasov defeated him. Gomez lost to him. Diasov bringing his undefeated record in. But getting into the meat of it, a fighter that I'm excited about, Steve, Montana Love. Taking on Gabriel Golas Valenzuela. Love is on a 3 straight stoppage run right now, and Valenzuela has not lost since 2017, and he had a close win over Robbie Davies recently.
Yes.
This could be an interesting little test for Montana Love. I expect him to definitely come out with the win on this one, but it seems like another stepping stone in the evolution of this fighter.
Yes, no, I agree with you, Matty. I think this is actually, I'm at pains to agree with Eddie, but this is actually a pretty decent undercard. Mr. Valenzuela, as you correctly pointed out there, won a majority decision over Bobby Davis Jr., which I wouldn't have known if I hadn't looked at his record up beforehand. Montana Love's an interesting one as well. He was plundering along, drew with Kenneth Sims. Eddie took an interest in him after he started getting a few wins on the record. He retired Baranchik. In his last fight, when he knocked out Carlos Diaz, he came in quite over the weight. That was 143. What's he up at? Well, super lightweight now. So he looks like he's going to try and make the weight again. Not sure about the whole dog thing. He goes around with this little dog, doesn't he? And gets put into the ring afterwards and he carries it about. Dogs in boxing don't tend to mix, but Montana Love, he's not the biggest puncher in the world, but he's pretty decent mover. And I expect it to be a good fight with Valenzuela. While I'm on it, Matty, complete sidetrack here, but I forgot to mention last night, by the way, shout out to Austin Ammo Williams, who knocked out Cordale Booker. That was a really good win for Williams. Booker's no fool. 17-0. Williams went in and blasted him out in a round, so that was a good win. Completely unrelated to this, though. Montana Love against Valenzuela. It's a good scrap. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I expect it to be a good one. Be interesting to see if Love continues his streak of knockouts here. Seems like he might have discovered his man strength in the last couple of years, so we'll find out about that one. But this is the more interesting one for our purposes here. Rob, your first pick to defend your lead. Filip Hrgovic against Zalel Zhang, both 6'6".
Fuck off again. How the fuck are you supposed to know who's going to win out of them two fucking streaks of piss?
Hrgovic step up in class again, is it?
It's an insult to even ask me about two fighters of this kind of status. You know what I mean? I'm like the fucking
Rob only deals with the high class elite fighters.
I'm like the Wexford Bud Sugar. You're bringing this shit to my doorstep. I'm gonna go for Hrgovic just because zilly zing zang. Not that good. So not that good.
And by stoppage or by decision, you're thinking, Rob?
Yeah, no decision.
Okay, Hrgovic.
Matty, is that fight between the two rappers on the prediction league this week?
No, it is not, Steve. It is not.
I can't call it. I can't call that one, Steve.
Andy, why don't you give me your thoughts on this heavyweight battle that's going to be chief support for Canelo versus Bivol?
I'm pretty much the same as Rob, mate. I really don't give a shit because Zhang is awful. You know, they even had him lined up at one point for Joshua to take over Bird's Nest Stadium in Beijing at one point. Hrgovic, I've mentioned long enough that he's needed a step up in class. You can obviously go back to the fact that there's been a few fighters, or more than a few fighters, knocked back the fight. You know, I guess that IBF eliminator or final eliminator. For whatever reason, fighters have knocked it back for one reason or another. Maybe other irons in the fire, who knows? But I'm going to go Hrgovic by stoppage. Zhang, I think he had problems. I forget if it was a Jerry Forrest fight. I think it was. He had some sort of problems. His organs shutting down. I don't know what it was. I forget what it was.
Renal failure, I think, Andy.
Aye, so that's not fucking good. So, anyways, I'll say Hrgovic by mid to late round stoppage. Will it pound the weight Zhang's body? It'll probably be an ugly, scrappy affair, to be honest with you, mate. I'm not looking forward to that one whatsoever. And it's the one that I'm dreading waking up to on Sunday morning, looking at the results and seeing that our fights went 12 fucking rounds, and saying to myself, Matty's going to want me to watch that to discuss it. So fuck it. Knock out Hrgovic.
Actually, Steve's going to be hosting, so that's going to be his problem.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll still be there, so I'll blame you anyway, because you put us on the fucking prediction league, you prick.
It's chief support in a very slow
I don't care.
They're undefeated, Andy.
Mate,
I could
have picked you a different fight to put in the prediction league. Well, I'm just fucking geez, that shite.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is the way that it is, you know. Life is rough. Steve, I do think this could be a sloppy fight. Orthodox fighter against a southpaw. Both of them big guys, not necessarily the best footwork. How are you thinking this is going to go?
Yeah, I think this is a decent step up in height for Hrgovic, if nothing else. He's plodding along, isn't he? He needs a shot. They were talking about putting him with Hunter, which would have been a nice step up, but it didn't materialise. He's ended up with Zhang. The Serrano clearly can't deliver for whatever reason, but he needs to get him out of here. He needs to make a statement. Just checking it now. Is it a 10 or a 12-12? That's good. That means it's a knockout win for me. Hrgovic has to knock him out. So I'm going to go for Hrgovic by knockout, make a bit of a statement. He's the better schooled fighter. That said, I gave the Wellings kiss of death to Zhang after he fought Devin Vargas. I said, you know what? He's 6'6", he's nearly 40, bit of a lump, bit of a unit, but he can put his punches together well. And then those first 3 rounds against Jerry Forrest, they had him down 3 times. And then I turned the fight off, didn't realise that he completely gassed out, ended up with a draw, showed his limitations. So I have cursed him. So he's going to lose this fight to get... Oh, no, actually, he'll probably win this fight now that I've cursed him. But anyway, it's Hrgovic knockout for me over Zhang. Got to be getting rid of guys like this and getting himself a title shot soon. Come on, Soland, you're going to have to pull this out of the bag. And also, Matty, just before I hand back over to you, talking about the Nutters Prediction League, Joe Kennedy, as you well know, is running one in parallel with ours. So I'm going to give him a quick shout out here to everybody. There's about 30 or 40 of them, and we've been mixed in as well. So that's why you see Andy Patterson up there behind UK John in first place there. Greg's up there, Ted, Irish, John O'Donovan as well, Andrew McCormack, Wellings in with 13 points.
Rob Kelly, relegation country, by the way. What's going on here?
Did they let me into this league later, or did they just not count my score? How am I winning the fucking boxing one?
I think Joe started counting the points from when their league started, so from whatever everybody had after the start of the league, which was a little bit late on. So that's why you're languishing in mid-table mediocrity there.
Basically, Joe's league is a farce, is what you're telling me. Steve. Fake league.
Rob, you're the relegation country there, mate. You better
No, hang on, Matty. No, Andy. We're going down to relegation country here.
All right.
We've got Tom Halton, who's not playing, but has got put in anyway in 0 points. Hatton propping us up with 4. Owen, Ricky Graville.
My mate Dave Wilson's in there as well. He's going to get 8 points. Fucking hell.
James Windsor,
6
Holly
points.
there.
Female 6 points behind Andy Patterson. It's a fucking parallel universe. That's Joe Kennedy's league. Forget about that league.
Didn't you worry about that? In your own time.
There's Declan Graffin as well in the middle there. So that's the boys. Fair play to the boys and the girls in the prediction league.
Was there a girl in there as well, is there?
Yeah, there's Holly there. She's got 10 points in between George and Justin. No greater place to be. So there you go, Matty.
Sandwich.
Good times. Oh, man. I'm also going to take Hrgovic by stoppage, so we'll see how that goes for you, Rob. You're either going to widen it out or give up a little ground. Oh, it's getting tense. It's getting tense. But
I'm not going to say what I was going to say, so just keep going.
All of this in cheap support for a very interesting light heavyweight fight between Canelo Alvarez and Dimitri Bivol. I am looking forward to this one. Andy, as we've seen in some recent fights, I'm thinking about Bivol's height advantage, quote unquote, over Canelo. But we've seen that punching down isn't necessarily an advantage. And Bivol really doesn't go to the body very much. Maybe we've been giving him too much credit and thinking this is going to be a close one. I don't know.
I do think this will be close, mate, to be honest with you. The longer I've kind of thought about it and it's come closer to the time, I have started to come to the realisation that this has the potential to go belly up for Canelo, possibly. But I don't believe he would ever get the decision against him, to be honest with you. That said, I've shot on Bivol in the past because he does nothing to excite you, really, isn't he? He's always been a guy or a fighter who's been pretty much safety first, happy to use his elite boxing skills. He's a purist dream, basically, a purist wet dream. He does everything technically not fantastic, but he does everything really well. If he wants to, he can certainly up his output. 3, 4, 5 punch combinations if he wants to. I think he probably need to do it from time to time in this fight, but he's also got a good jab and a very decent right hand, which again, I know he's got 11 knockouts, but I don't know how hard he hits, but I would estimate that he hits pretty decent, especially by hanging around about at the level he's fighting at. But I still think Canelo will find problems a wee bit like he did against Kovalev with the distance, but ultimately I think he'll start kind of finding his route into the body. I think he'll have a tough early going till he has, as the old saying goes, a bit of a look at him. But I still think Bivol has got enough about him to make it really interesting. Whether it's punching with Canelo, I don't know, but I wouldn't be too eager to write him off, to be honest with you. If it's anything close, it's maybe my get out response here, but if it's a close fight, Canelo gets a decision. I just don't see anything else happening here. And plus, Bivol being rushed, and I just think they maybe wait to kind of fucking bend them over anyway. To be honest with you, I'm going to say Canelo by decision. And I'm still thinking about it to this. Yeah, I was actually going to say he's actually come back to me nearer the time, nearer the fight, because I've still got a week to go, and I will be doing a wee bit more kind of research into the fight and that as well. But it's at this point, I still think Canelo will win it, but it's no an easy fight whatsoever. Like this is as hard as it gets. This is probably Canelo's hardest fight since Golovkin, definitely. Especially the first fight, 100%. Again, it's just it could be due to the fact is that Bivol just hasn't put it all together on the night. I think this could be a different scenario for him because he's fighting supposedly the pound for pound best. It's the biggest fight of his career. He might rise to the occasion and they might just pull it out. Who knows? But I still think that Canelo, if he sees the final belt, I think he gets a decision, regardless of what happens in the fight. But I don't think it's easy from any way, shape, or form. I think he's gonna have to fucking dig in deep here. He's gonna have to make every punch count, and if he gets him past Bivol's long reaches, he's going to make the body punches count. And to be honest with you, we've not seen it tested yet. But could Canelo test Bivol's chin? We'll wait and see. We'll find out how strong that is as well. Because we'll always say that Bivol isn't really, or doesn't look like a bona fide light heavyweight. We've always said that he should maybe be at 168. So who knows?
Be class if Bivol just has these mad gears that he goes up to all
of
a
a sudden,
wouldn't
he? You're like, what the fuck has this been?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, the thing is, was it the Vlaso? No, Vlaso. What's his name? Was it Salamov? Remember the Salamov fight? He was putting together like 4 and 5 punch combinations. I'm saying, so like, okay, fucking Canelo sees that shit, man. He's not going to want to be taken up by too many of these shots. I mean, it's like, what was he doing? Jab, right hand, left hook, straight right hand. I mean, fucking textbook boxing, that. If he starts dropping them head and body, fucking Canelo's got problems, man. I'm telling you.
If he goes to the body, though, he doesn't go to the body much, Andy.
Who knows, mate? This could be it. This could be. You just never know, mate.
We'll see.
This could be the time.
You said Canelo by decision. That's the most likely outcome with the books. They're saying just shy of even money, minus 125 Canelo by decision. This is just one of many. It might vary. Minus 450 just on Canelo on the whole. So he's a pretty big favorite. Bivol playing 3-1 to win. He's paying 5-1 on decision, 8-1 on a KO. Canelo playing plus 270 on a KO. Donnie, what are you thinking on this one?
Well, first of all, I have to disagree with Andy. I don't think this is his toughest fight since Golovkin won. I think it's his toughest fight since Sergey Kovalev, who was winning that fight before he got knocked out. Every time a fighter always steps up, what the public would think is like one division too far. It's always a very carefully calculated target. So, like, Roy Jones stepping up to fight Ruiz, great accomplishment, no doubt about it. But I mean, he didn't target Tyson or Holyfield or Lewis or any of the the big
Leonard
guys.
and Lalonde kind of thing too.
Pardon?
Sugar Ray Leonard, Danny Lalonde.
Yeah, another one. Yeah, that's another good example. But it's like, he and his team see something in Bivol, and like Bivol's like kind of a stand-up straight, like classic amateur style, Russian fighter who's been the amateurs for too long. He doesn't hit to the body, as other people said, because at least certainly in the era that he came up in, the amateurs did not reward any body work. I mean, I think Canelo's going to easily beat him. And frankly, when he does, everybody's going to fawn all over him, and they're going to say, "Oh, he's so fucking great. He jumped up to the light heavyweight and he took out another guy." Like, dude, fight better BF. That's the fight we want to fucking see. He's the dangerous one. Fight him. I mean, this doesn't do anything for me, and to me, really, the only thing he's doing right here is that he's just letting Golovkin get 6 months older. everybody. I know on the
fight's going to
pod.
happen next actually as well. So apparently, with him signing on to fight Bivol, he's then now obligated to fight Golovkin, I think, for the third fight.
Yeah, they'll probably do it September, Mexican Independence Weekend.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. It'll be September, obviously. But I mean, well, actually, I actually wonder what happens if he loses. Is that still going to go? I don't know.
He ain't losing, mate.
Then Golovkin's going to fight.
He ain't losing.
Stretcher.
Then Golovkin's going to fight Bivol on Mexican Independence Weekend in Mexico City.
Russian Independence Weekend.
Yeah. But I mean,
for me,
I don't know, like everybody's getting all up about it. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that Golovkin has already clearly beaten a light heavyweight. He's beat Kovalev, who in my opinion was the second best light heavyweight that you could target at that time.
He drained him down though, didn't he? Only after the Yard fight. Do you remember? He only gave him about 6 weeks.
What's that?
Remember, he only gave Kovalev. Didn't he give Kovalev like 5 or 6 weeks after the Yard?
Yeah.
I was 8. Something like that. It wasn't a long time anyway.
And Kovalev was winning that fucking fight, man. Like I was watching that.
Canelo was coasting though, Donnie, wasn't he? Until Kovalev gassed out, I think.
Well, yeah. Was that part of the plan, or was it not? I mean, I don't know.
Well, that's the way he fought Plant and other people, so I would say so.
Well,
Kovalev has shown signs of brittleness in the past and gas tank issues.
Yeah, well, he also I mean, a lot of people have said this, that I'm not like knocking the guy, but a lot of people have said that Kovalev doesn't like to train, that he likes to drink, that he doesn't.
We all.
Well, yeah, but we're not fighting for for titles over here. Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people know that Kovalev doesn't put it all the way in camp, and and honestly, the guy was so talented that he could get away with that when he was young, but when he aged, that type of training philosophy didn't work for him anymore. And I think that Canelo and his team target guys that they know, and it's going to look great for him. I mean, resume wise, yeah, it's going to be a great win when he beats Bivol or whatever. But to me, it doesn't, knowing what I know and understanding the sport the way that I do, I don't find it that impressive.
I've got a question for you. I don't know if I'm just thinking about it too much, because I have given this fight a wee bit kind of too much thinking, but do any believe that there's a potential for either Canelo or Bivol to actually look poor in this fight?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say, Andy, I kind of echo everything that you're saying. And I'm not just saying that because we're tight in the prediction league, and if I get the same result as you, then I still stay ahead. That's not what this is about at all. No, I think that Dimitri Bivol is not fucking Billy Joe Saunders or Caleb Plant. He's a bona fide one. I know people say he can make 68, but I think he belongs at 75. He probably doesn't have the knockouts at 75 because he's naturally smaller guy. But I can't see fucking a repeat of the Caleb Plant Billy Joe Saunders fight where they give him a couple of circles in the first few rounds, and then Canelo starts to corner him, break him down to the body, and knock him out. Now we haven't seen Bivol's chin tested, but the only kind of blood on his copybook is the lackluster performance against Craig Richards. I think that was in the UK, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he's based in LA. I know he's Russian, but maybe he doesn't go well on the road. I thought Craig Richards probably boxed above himself that night, and had moments in the fight. So that's the only thing that's making me think that Canelo has and I wouldn't say an easy night, but a kind of that I'd more favor Canelo. But like Bivol, we went sour on Bivol on the pod a couple of years ago. All of us were very high on Bivol. The only blot on his copybook. That's two blots on his copybook, by the way, because I've just said he had a blot on his copy. That's 2 blots on his copybook, but he doesn't finish fights that you'd expect him to finish. So Isaac Chilemba, Jean Pascal, closes out against Joe Smith. Sullivan Barrera's no joke, by the way, at 75. Remember, Andre Ward had a very tough night with Sullivan Barrera, and I think he beat Joe Smith as well, didn't he, and broke his jaw. So he's not a mug, and he got the stoppage against him. I just don't see Canelo walking him down the same way as he did against Plant and Saunders. And I think Andy's onto something. You're going to have to fucking shoot Canelo to stop him.
Rob,
Yo,
I just want to know though. I mean, who beats Isaac Chilemba?
Well, let's see who beats him.
That long word.
But you know what I'm saying. Like I think there's been times where Bivol could have gone through the gears and got the stoppage where he's just been happy to coast to a victory. I don't know if that's something to do with the amateur style or the
His
upbringing,
last
but
6 or 7 fights have been 12 rounds, just about.
they've all
Bang on.
It's kind of got to the stage where you're looking at Bivol fight. You're going to go UD12, forget it. Like there's no point.
Taxes Bivol 12 rounds basically. Isn't it?
Exactly. But having said that, he's naturally bigger. He's a natural. He naturally operates at a 175. Canelo's 175 performances are a little bit of a myth. The Kovalev was 1,000,000% a cherry pick. He got him at the right time. Drink it. So fucking Kovalev was steaming at the fucking press conference. Remember that? Remember they announced the press conference?
Well,
He's over. He was spending the money before he got it. The fucker.
With Canelo, yeah.
Yeah, he was spending the money before he got it. That fucker. So I don't think that's a legitimate fucking how do you call it? Fuck, I don't know what it is. Yardstick, that's the one. A legitimate 175 yardstick for Canelo at light heavyweight. So my feeling is the same as Andy's. I have a feeling fucking Bivol's kind of gonna get this 7-5 and then get it not in have it not in his favor. Like.
Well, if you go draw would be worth 5 points.
They're not going to get the draw, though.
Exactly. What's the odds on this, man? I mean,
he's a Russian.
Nobody any goods, man.
He's a Russian lad fighting the fucking biggest fucking cash cow in the sport in fucking Vegas, is it?
Think about this, man.
I think if you think that Bivol's going to win 116, 112,
I think Bivol's going to shade it. I think Bivol, if I was on my card, I think Bivol is going to look like 115, 113, but he won't get it. And I think loads of people will call out, and then Canelo will just move on to Golovkin.
Remember this. Eddie Hearn made Canelo the offer. Bivol, Golovkin fight. The Zone are fucking begging for a big pay-per-view fight. We know Triple G's not Triple G anymore, but that fight still does good numbers. And you're saying Mexican Independence Day or whatever, Cinco de Mayo? No, that's May, innit? So it's Independence Day in September. Whatever it is, the Mexican holiday, whatever it is, that will fucking sell, mate. That will sell. So if it's in any way, shape, or form close, as Rob says, and I've said, that I do believe Canelo gets the nod because the Zone is going to lose out on that pay-per-view, basically. And at the end of the day, if it's a draw, I don't know what's in the contract for a rematch or anything like that, but you would imagine, and what happens if Canelo loses? Is there a rematch clause in the contract for Canelo if he gets beat? We don't know this either.
Well, I'll tell you, so we got two guys taking Canelo by decision there, Steve. And a couple of things I've looked at is I kind of think that Canelo's not always great at cutting off the ring. He followed Kovalev a bit. He followed Callum Smith a bit. Probably why he didn't get the stoppage against Smith. But that said, Bivol doesn't really walk his opponents around the ring so much as he makes more subtle movements and keeps you occupied with a jab. So I don't know if that
I don't
comes
know.
into play.
I don't know. I think Bivol has a good mix of the Eastern European style and he's added in a lot of stuff that he's got in the US as well. I think he's a lot better than people give him credit for. And a lot closer. I think the only thing he's missing is in his armory is the punch power. Like, I think he's very, very, very good. Sorry, man, to cut across you. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. It's so I don't know if that comes into play like it does in those fights, and that's the only reason I'm thinking maybe Canelo does stop him, is just because unless Bivol's really got some power that he hasn't shown us, he doesn't seem like he's going to be walking Canelo around the perimeter.
Well, he showed us power in his first breakout fight, didn't he, against Sullivan Barrera? When he showed everything, he outboxed him, softened him up, beat him up, and then stopped him in the 12th round. And I thought we got the complete fighter here, but he hasn't really showed that killer instinct since. But I've actually thought a lot about this fight. I do think, like what the boys were saying, I think Bivol has the potential to cause Canelo a lot of trouble. However, there will come a point in the fight where he's going to have to bite down on his gum shield and get into the trenches because he can't afford to coast like he has done against previous lesser opponents. If he retreats into his shell, if he lets Canelo grab the ascendancy, then he won't win. That said, he won't win on points anyway unless he dominates round after round. Canelo's the cash cow, the lads have said it. Everybody will want to keep it that way. The fact Bivol's Russian won't do him any favours either. I'd have preferred Canelo to have gone the Benavidez and Charlo route, but he's chosen his pathway. We'll have to accept it and move on. But on the fight itself, the subject of Benavidez, apparently Benavidez has sparred a lot with Bivol, and he says Bivol can punch and he has the dog in him when it gets tough, which gives me a bit of hope actually for a good showing, because Bivol's output, it's effective, but it's pretty basic. If he's going to trouble Canelo, he's going to have to do something more than just fall back onto that old 1-2, that old Russian, Eastern European Orthodox style that we've seen him in the past. He needs to be versatile, good engine, plan B, beyond the plan B, keep the left hand up, which he drops the left hand sometimes, touch the body at every opportunity, try and leave traps for Canelo. And it's a big ask, but I think he's going to do okay in this fight. Canelo on points is my pick. Probably see scores of 8-4, maybe a 7-5 card mixed in. If Bivol lets his hands go, though, if he goes toe-to-toe with Canelo at a point, as I said to Andy, goes up those gears, I think it's going to be interesting to see how their respective skill sets match up, how their size matches up. Because I think Bivol is talented, and I think he's going to win enough rounds, he's going to make things ugly, but I'm not overly convinced he'll be able to provide that like kind of superhuman effort that is required to go one step further and win the fight. He's going to have to dominate rounds if he's going to win them, because any close round they're going to give to Canelo. So I think he's going to do fine, but it won't be a close fight on the card as maybe we've witnessed that we think at home.
Interesting. You know, and I'm thinking I got to go to the decision too. So what I got to do to separate this guy is a little bit.
No, go fuck off with your fucking bullshit.
Don't even fucking think about it.
No, you calm down. Does anybody think that it's going to be a split or a majority decision?
And what does this get us if I give this?
It'll give you one because we agree on this, so we're playing for a point at that point in time. If you're right. Does anyone think it's going to be a split or majority decision?
Yeah, I think it's going to be SD Canelo. SD Canelo.
All right, so does Rob. Steve, Andy, either of you guys think it's going to be the UD?
Come and fucking suck the white stuff off my helmet, by the way. This is pish. I've just give you my opinion. No, you're throwing fucking curveballs at me just to get an extra fucking point.
There's nothing. We all agreed that it's Canelo.
This is where these prediction leagues fuck me up, though, man, because I'll be thinking to myself, I really want Bivol to do well here, but I've gone for Canelo UD, so I hope it's UD.
What happens with Joe Kennedy's fucking list?
I don't know. He's running his own league.
Yeah, but does he give you the extra point for getting this?
Joe Kennedy's is a fake news.
He's running his own league.
Joe Kennedy's list is fake news, Joe.
Where are you, Joe? He was at the fight last night.
So, Andy, do you think it's going to be a UD?
Was he good man?
Or not?
Fuck, I don't know, mate. You prick. Well, obviously, I need to make up this point on Rob, and who was the fight that I picked by stoppage?
Not happening, Andy. The league is over, man. Let it go, will you?
In your own time, Rob. What was the last pick we made? Rob went for the knockout. I went for the decision.
It was Fury White, wasn't it?
No. The other pick Matty made. Matty, what was the other pick?
Oh, the only one that only I got right was the
the fucking other one for this week. For next week.
It was Beefy. I had Beefy for the stoppage.
Beefy.
I had Beefy for the stoppage.
Hergovich.
Yep, and this week Rob has Hergovich by decision. So
yeah, so I might make it up. I might make it up with the Hergovich stoppage.
And Rob said split decision.
Majority, I'll go majority. I'll say there's a draw thrown in there.
Okay, so
I'll go UD. Fuck it, just to be
all right. So
different.
Steve's all right. So you're the only one. Okay, so if it's a majority or a split decision, everyone gets a point with Andy. But Andy, if it is a unanimous decision, you're the only one that gets a point. All right.
And I get this point in Joe Kennedy's league as well.
I don't know. I'm not running Joe Kennedy's league. I'm not running Joe Kennedy's league, Andy. That's I can only do this. I can barely do this.
Joe Kennedy, Matty, is going by your rules. He says that you are the main man.
Fuck. Well, Christ be with you, Joe Kennedy.
Matty, you missed out a word there when you said fuck.
Yeah.
You know what the word was? You.
What?
You know what, right? I think Bivol has been selected carefully because of the apparent lack of punch power. But Eddie, even Ed, how are you, mate? I know you're riding high on a big promotion last night in Madison Square Garden. Big moment for women's boxing.
What is Frank Warren's impression with the shoulder roll, by the way? That was prime Floyd. He was pitting it there.
He's a bit bitter, isn't he? Like Eddie. But he's saying that the next fight for Canelo, because he was mentioning that fucking Anthony Yard's path and all with Umar, wasn't he? He's saying that Canelo's going to unify against Baturbiev. Now there is a motherfucking fight. So I would say that Canelo gets the decision no matter what. But what a fight that'll be! Holy shit!
Beterbiev against Canelo. When did I sign up for that one? Like,
that's what he's saying. Like, I mean, Golovkin is probably hearing that news and fucking throwing hammers at the telly. But like, if
he'll never fight Beterbiev.
When the fuck is Eddie ever going to deal with Bob Arum before? By
fight Beterbiev, that could be the end. Like, huh?
When has Bob Arum ever made when has Eddie ever made a deal with Bob Arum? That's just essentially he's got to deal with to try and get that Beterbiev fight made. Does he know about Bob Arum?
Shut the fuck up, Eddie, you little prick.
Yeah, exactly, you little prick. Get him out of here, Darryl.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to this one. I assume Donnie and I will be paying for the fight. I assume.
What's your predictions? I've never heard your 2 predictions, by the way.
What predictions?
Yeah, what's your prediction?
I said Hrgovic by stoppage, and then I said yes, it's going to be a split decision.
Right. Okay.
What about Donnie?
Donnie never shows up, so I don't know why Donnie's here like once a quarter.
It'll boost Rob up a position over the
match. To the championship.
fucking Europa League.
Conference League, basically.
Into Toto Cup.
Fucking not Toto Cup.
Joe, I can't believe you had me on 11 points, man. Go back and get me rest of predictions and move me up that league.
I know, Joe, he's a fellow Irishman. You're fucking over a fellow Irishman.
No,
I haven't seen this fucking great at point deduction since fucking Rangers went into administration.
Well, hey, time machine Duffy sell the jerseys.
Oh man. Well, before we get too far to the weeds, Steve, I think I should send it your direction for the value of the week.
Woo! Thank you very much, Matty. Value of the week for episode 472. Donnie's here. Good to have him. Rapping Rob Kelly, Andy, Matty, and me, Steve. Quite a few this week, as usual. Some good funny ones as well. Dominic Henry, friend of the pod, has sent me this in from Tony Bellew talking about AJ. You can imagine which direction this is going in, everybody.
AJ has the capable ability to get to anyone, Andy. If he gets close and lets his hands go, he's capable of knocking out anybody. I don't care what anybody says about him. I don't care getting wrote off this week. It's a disgrace the way some journalists have spoken about him. And now all of a sudden he's washed up, he's spent, he's mentally fragile, he's weak. He's not the man he was yesterday. Why is that, mate? Because he's lost to the greatest cruiserweight of all time. So all of a sudden now he's washed, he's spent. It's an absolute disgrace that people are writing him off the way they are. This is an Olympic gold medal in record time. This is a unified heavyweight champion in record time. This is a guy who was knocking out former unified undisputed heavyweight champions of the world before anyone knocked him out in record time again. Why is all of a sudden the whole world turned on Anthony Joshua? It's just a disgrace, mate. It winds me up, and it shows you how fickle boxing can be, because when AJ defeated Ruiz in that rematch, I watched every backslapper, every tart, every involved in this game kisses like he was the second coming of Muhammad Ali. And now he has one off night against Alexander Usyk, the greatest cruiserweight ever, and all of a sudden now he's a yesterday heavyweight. He's washed. It's an absolute joke. It really is.
That's an expert, by the way, apparently, right?
Fuck me. Who's definitely not biased, by the way. He's
No.
definitely not fucking rooting for his fellow, DAZN fucking Eddie Hearn mate, even Ed. And Tony,
Even
just
Ed.
leave him alone. Stop dragging him onto the DAZN boxing show to
Anthony.
get his opinion on fucking. That's the greatest load of shit ever, by the way. That's the fucking Eddie Hearn playbook 101 about Anthony Joshua. I like Anthony Joshua, actually, by the way. I especially like fucking unhinged Anthony Joshua. I just always fucking felt that he wasn't what Sky were selling us. And that's proved to be true. Still dangerous heavyweight, though. Don't favour him to beat Usyk. But calm down, Tony. Will you calm down?
Let's get it right, though. Right, this is a guy, even Anthony, that has the audacity to fucking say to people, "You've no boxed and you've not got an opinion." Right? Simple as that, mates. Right? Who was telling us again that who was Dillian White going to beat? Oh, sorry, Tyson Fury was going to fucking get beat off Dillian White, apparently, according to Tony fucking Bellew. He didn't even break a sweat. So I'm amazed that these so-called experts can regularly find it so difficult to see what most fans are able to see. Guys who don't fucking fight professionally, is that you were fucking wrong. You were wrong, mates.
In fairness, I think Tony's oblivious to being wrong and oblivious to a lot of stuff, isn't he? Because his fucking predictions are not great. He wouldn't fare well in Joe Kennedy's prediction league, I don't think.
Oof.
Some great propaganda from Tony, Andy. The greatest propaganda since this fella.
Du meine Arbeit für richtig hältst. Ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich mich in diesen Jahren...
Some cracker Costco this weekend. He's trying to tap his bank card in it for 2 lattes.
Scam
The loyalty card.
The Scam Jones loyalty card.
Mortified,
no loyalty in this game.
Mortified with embarrassment and Greg's with the queue behind him.
Oh, brilliant, man. Fucking hell. Some arse's twitching this week though, eh? Fucking touching cloth, man. Fucking making buttons on the seat, whatever you want to call it, man. They're fucking shitting themselves, man.
Pay for a breakfast roll at the deli. Like, did that go through? Yeah.
Mate. And there's some who think that deleting YouTube videos is going to like save their fucking reputations. Fucking Uncle Sam's got all that shit. They're on the YouTube right already. I want that fucking video, by the way. I don't give a shit about being deleted. I want the fucking cashier code for it. Get it out of here now.
As the great man once said, handing those fucking laptops around to you.
The cashier at Starbucks asking for proof of funds. Oh dear, better move on. Errol Spence says, I'm hyped to see Taylor Serrano is low key. Lol. Some hype from Errol. And Anthony comes in. He says, well, I don't know who this Anthony is. He says, that's Matchroom, Errol, and what you get when the best fight the best. Give it a go.
Woo! Woo! That smoke to the front door of Errol Spence. Anthony fucking went on whatever the fuck.
Fucking Errol Spence tried to get to his front door and fucking smoke, by the way. What the fuck?
Called it Errol Spence's front door. He's just knocking over bottles of Hennessy, you know, when he opens the door. It's just bing, bing.
Open the
doors, he's not trying to reverse the car into the drive whenever you get there.
He tries to open the doors like Michael Caine did in the Italian Job. You're not supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
You're trying to pad the car, just driving into the garage, you know, just
parts the fucking car in the bedroom.
Oh, good old Errol. Ryan Garcia signed up with Joe Goosen, and look what he's turning up wearing now.
Holy shit.
Look at the guy in the background on the right hand
He's
side.
checking Katie's ass, isn't he? Dirty old bastard. Look at him. Grey bearded cunt. Look at him. Dirty bastard.
He looks.
He's even got the eyes fucking twitching at an angle.
I think he's looking at Garcia's outfit today.
Is this where you want to be when Jesus comes back?
He's probably thinking, how's Garcia got the arse for the jeans? Because it just looks like the fucking. It just looks like a fucking pair of slacks or something on there, isn't it?
He looks like a fucking. He looks like a fucking labourer from Wexford gone to the fucking line dance night in the Regal Lodge on the New Line Road with the big ass jeans on him. Funny. Out on a Saturday night with the pay packet. Look at that.
That seems a very colloquial joke.
Man. Fucking goose it, man. Fuck this is Denim Camp. Denim Haney, he's looking to fight.
I forgot. Fucking he's been goosing. That's the goosing effect, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I just think all he needs now is the fucking tassels. He's moved to Texas, hasn't he? So you get the fucking tassels there and the fucking.
This is Joe Goosen.
The silly cowboy hat.
Masculinity coming out of that photo, Andy.
Yeah.
He needs to,
from Ryan as well.
He needs to start a gang like in the Warriors movie with him, fucking Gervonta Davis, Joe Goosen, and Mario Barrios. They're all just going around wearing denim. Denim the dream heavy. Haney, we're coming for you.
It's called a Canadian tuxedo.
Well, that's a cracker there from Ryan. He could be at this event, maybe.
No need to wrap them. I'll eat them now.
I'll eat them now. What's Ebbs let herself in for, man?
She knows what she's doing. She's playing the game, obviously, man. Fair play.
She's been playing some games. You're not careful.
I'll tell you what, she's playing the perverts fucking hard, though, isn't she? Fucking hell, man.
You worry one day that you're going to read a headline like that. She fucking turns up in a boot somewhere and they're like with these kind of fucking meet and greets. You know what I mean? Is someone just going to go for the gusto and fucking kidnap her one day? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Somebody tried that, actually. Who was it? Somebody posted that on Twitter the other day. The Gad. Pat her on the boot of the car, fucking mask tape her up.
She'll open the door and see that there staring at you.
Donny Baseball with his blue eyes. He looks stoned in that picture. Look at him.
Stay quiet in there. I've done anal.
7 years of it, too.
Go on, Donny.
Is he reacting to
We
it?
know.
There he is.
He was
Donny,
up
you're-
all night
you're
crying because the
on the big
Yankees
screen,
won.
baby.
What's that?
His lips never came to cuspeth.
What's that?
Donny baseball and HD like the prime fire stick.
You've been busting your balls for the last 60 seconds here. You haven't even said a word. What the fuck?
We
Wait,
can
you
see
haven't
you,
been
Don.
busting my balls. I didn't hear a word about me.
We're just saying, Donny, what about this fella? The Ebony
may want to
Bridges
rewind the
Appreciation
Oh, wait,
Society.
who's this now? Who's this?
This is the Ebony Bridges Appreciation Society.
Oh shit. Yeah. Well,
Did he buy
you
the
know,
shorts, or were they part of a package? Steve? What's the crack with
I
the
mean,
shorts?
let's
Some
be
bullet-headed
frank,
pervert anyway.
you know, I would probably do it, you know, on all the days that end in Y. But you
Into
know,
it, Donny.
but you know, it's
You have to
it's kinda
fight off
tough.
a
I
long line
don't know if those
stiff
things are
competition
real,
there,
though.
Donny, by the looks of it.
Strong Chuckaroo vibe.
Wait,
You're right, Don.
Is her tits real?
I doubt it.
No.
I don't know, mate. Maybe you ask Eddie that
I'm voting no.
That's
We had
Ebbs.
the greatest women's fight in history last night. This is what we're at on the podcast. It's real. This is
Even
it.
I never asked that question.
Even AP wouldn't say that. Donny
We're gonna
Baseball
move on.
turns up for the first time in 7 months to get a shadow banned on YouTube for another 2 years. Cheers, Donny.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, boys.
well, Elon Musk is running things now, so we're gonna be.
Yeah, we should be fine.
Yeah.
We'll be all right.
Always up in his game there recently,
Yeah.
so he's going to be fine now.
Yeah, that's what we should do. Put society in the hands of bowers.
We
can grab
actually, to tell you the truth, we need to get Elon Musk on this pod and then get him to smoke a joint,
Fly me
and I think
to the
we'd all be all right.
Listen, there's only room for one genius smoking a joint on a pod every week. Okay, let's fucking
That's Maddie.
Thank
have it
you.
there.
Xanax Dave. Right, boys, let's move on here. Tim Boxeo announcing the trilogy is confirmed, Andy.
Oh, yes.
Saul Farah announced he will face Pedro Tabarez. You might remember Tabarez
Yep.
was
Yes.
last seen stamping on his head.
Yep, that was brilliant. So I think I think in the pre-build up to the fight, the Urman El Phoenix no throw his belt at him and hit the wall like a fucking 2x4 fucking piece of wood. Anyways, Saul Farah gets knocked down, and your man Tabarez decides to fucking stomp on his head and kick him, gets DQ'd. Oh, it was outrageous. We actually Sunday morning we were up actually waiting for his fight, and then it gets posted up. What a fucking shambles it was, man. But yeah, he's going to get it sorted out in a trilogy. Third fight, Saul Farah, baby. He's going to win easy.
No, I fancy Tabarez. I think this is the end for our man Saul. Like, I think he's
so?
fucking, yeah.
He's sending us goodwill messages and that type of thing, mate, on Facebook. So
I don't know if this is in the prediction league or not, but I'm predicting fucking Tabarez by fucking punt in the second half, in the fourth quarter. Punt his fucking head into the
They
audience.
get thousands, Rob, at these fights, you know. I mean, it's about $1 to get in, but apparently they say 4,000 or 5,000 going in.
Johnny Wilkinson's going to put the flash try over past the post here.
They all looked very attentive the last time in the crowd, which is quite common in Peru, I hear.
Interesting fight about this one, Steve, is they're fighting for a donkey and 2 pounds of unprocessed coca leaves.
Well, there you go. I'm sure Saul will be happy with that. His opponent looks in
I'm
good
sure
shape.
there's a lot of people in boxing who have fucking processed coca leaves in their day.
What you do is you ride the donkey someplace where you can sell the coca leaves, and then you eat the donkey.
Or you just do a deal with the fucking US government, fly it straight in. Anyway, let's
calm down there, Robbie Escobar.
Don, are you falling asleep?
Oh God, no.
I fell asleep.
I fell asleep. I think Donnie's took in that. What do you call the pills again? The fucking ludes.
Xanax Dave, is Xanax Donnie?
Xanax Dave's back on again.
No, he's took the Quaaludes. That's what he's doing.
You want another Quaalude? She'll love me again tomorrow.
She won't even remember me tomorrow, man. I will not be there. I will fuck off. You want payday? Fuck you.
That's speaking of fucking, what you call it, Saul Farah. Say goodnight to the bad guy, because it's the last time you're going to see a bad guy like this.
Bad guys don't die; they always last.
Donnie's enemies at work are probably going to see this, and on Monday he's going to have to go in and piss in a cup.
He'd be all right. Right, Andy, what about this one then? Larry Holmes impressed with Trevor Bryan's training for Daniel Dubois. You weren't too impressed, though.
I wasn't too impressed because there are two words I would never heard in my own head. Trevor Bryan and impressed equals fucking fucked up beyond all recognition.
Depressed, maybe.
Depressed, aye.
Like Lovejoy. Has he fought Lovejoy? They should get him in against Lovejoy, man. That'd be great matchmaking.
Didn't give the old cunt ideas, man, for fuck's sake. Because he gets a good laugh just for the man of the old cunt and take a payday. But I wonder, actually, does that Donnie King do what he did to fucking their man in Germany? Fuck him about with the visa, and then Daniel Dubois can't get into America on time, and then obviously Trevor Bryan gets a free pass or a free shot or something. Who knows? But fucking hell. See if Dubois doesn't beat that guy, he needs to retire. If he doesn't beat Trevor Bryan, he needs to chuck it, man. I'm telling you, seriously. That's no hate. I'm no hating on the guy, but
Bryan's terrible, isn't he?
Yes, you've got to beat him.
Got to beat him. Tony Bellew, once you got home safe to your wife and kids, can you respond to this, please? So Tony Bellew is against YouTube fights, Rob. Apart from when he's involved in one, Bellew seems to be calling out Jake Paul repeatedly.
Would you just fucking leave him alone? Let him get home to his wife and kids and stop forcing him into fucking mega paydays with YouTube trolls. Just leave him alone, man. He's on the fucking DAZN boxing show. Is that not enough for you? Is that enough, Tony Bellew?
He wants to remember this as Anthony because Tony
Tell
died.
you what, right? I love this fucking fight. I don't give a fuck. Even it, I'll make this fight, man, will you? And we see Jake Paul knock fucking Tony Bellew out.
Could you imagine?
It would be fucking hilarious.
No. Fuck that, mate.
If Jake Paul goes out and he wins a round, even off an inactive Tony Bellew, what does that say about Tony Bellew? Like?
Mate, no. You're looking at this at a totally wrong angle here. You had two guys recently do a face-off, building up a woman's fight. I think the two guys should get it on in the ring. AKA,
if we can't get Eddie in there.
Yeah, even Eddie.
Look at fucking Frank Smith and all running around with fucking Katie Taylor. He's a fucking pain in the ass, isn't he, that Frank Smith? Well, Frank said that about him, didn't he? I'm not fat shaming him, but Frank said he's a little fat geezer, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same with Frank said, you know. So,
wait, who's running the IFL TV account?
A great bunch of lads, apparently.
That's a very accurate question, that one, Donnie.
The rabbits are running the controls like in Dougal's head now.
Let's just say they're heavily reliant on super chats at the moment.
Yeah. And also, their founder is worrying about his water bill, so we'll wait and see.
Shout out to everybody in the super chat, by the way, because I definitely don't big up the super chatters enough, because me and Andy were just commenting to each other last night on Tyann Boots super chats, and some of you fuckers that are in here every week are absolutely handing over money hand over fist for Tyann Boots. It's the same shit every week. We vary it up. I like Tyann, by the way.
Yes,
I'm glad I came up with a lot of the stuff that he came up with.
Wait. So
the last video that I watched, he's drinking a bottle of wine.
Is he doing well sexually?
Well, apparently so. He's working in a fucking petrol station, apparently. But what I'm going to say is, he's sitting there getting drunk on a bottle of wine, which I do most weeks.
Smoking a joint.
Rob does most weeks.
Allegedly.
Right, allegedly. And we're getting £2 super chat pledges. Thanks to Gary Kavanagh from MTK. Sorry, no MTK, Mac Knife. Sorry, for 50 quid deal I'm talking about, you know.
Holy fuck.
Anyway, we appreciate the super chat is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. Appreciate AJ as well, Matty. He's married to the game, and then a Formula One flag.
Oh, look at this. He must be in Nantucket or something. What is this?
Why is he wearing a fucking Hooters outfit?
Why is he with the Polish flag on his stairs?
He looks like he's trying to fucking model in like a polo catalog or some shit.
Yeah.
He's going to go do mouth to mouth with Pamela Anderson in a fucking urgent fucking.
I'm sure it's a rap song somewhere there.
Yeah, no.
Married to the game.
Maybe Paul Anderson.
That's an
anyone married to anything would be looking for a fucking divorce after 6 months. Let me tell you.
What are you saying, Don?
I said that's a Nantucket outfit. You wear those colored pants when you're in Nantucket. Everybody knows that.
Well, there once was a man from Nantucket, apparently.
I thought it was in Belfast.
He sailed overseas in a bucket, Rob.
Right. Anyway,
you guys look it up. And you'll see what I mean.
Got off the fucking rails tonight. Fucking hell, we're all over the shop.
Off the
Who's
rails.
to blame for this?
I'll take it. I'll always take it.
Good man, Andy.
Rob loads of bullets. I'll fucking fire them. Doesn't matter.
That's a fact.
Bunsey has found a scrap of paper on the street with his Serrano story. So that one here, Rob.
That's quality.
There's another Bunsey one for you. Rob Bunsey said, the first time I met her in person, this was Katie, was ringside at a Bernard Dunn fight in 2006, while rapping Rob Kelly was running around ringside to try and make his seat for the Dunn versus Martinez fight. Bunsey says she was 20 years old, no word of a lie. She got a bigger cheer than Bono did. She was bigger than the U2 frontman in Ireland. I realised then she was in a different league.
Well, do you know what? That's not outlandish. It probably doesn't deserve to be in Bellew of the Week because that's a fact. Bono's not that well liked over here, man. He's
he's hated, man. He's fucking hated.
What?
Apparently, only like a child dies.
3% of his fucking charity money goes to the actual shit. Like the rest of it goes to and he's all for like fucking human rights, but then they put it like a halting site behind his house, and he got it like fucking moved out and all that shit. Like, so I don't know. Like he's a polarizing character, put it that way. Katie is unanimous. She's a saint over here, dude. I can't Steve. You know the crack. Like Katie Taylor.
I know, mate. Even I know when I've been over there how much she's fucking loved. Even the fucking young lassies who were in the box.
Yeah, my missus and my little one woke me up to fucking tell me that she fucking won the fight. I was like, I know, I already seen it. Like they were all like, do you know what I mean? Her ma's talking about it and all today. Like it's like she's putting on the highlights for like the fucking 74-year-old fucking husband and all. Like she's loved over here. Like, so to be more like I'm more like the Bono man. Fuck Bono.
Fuck Bono. I agree with that one. Like, it's every time he clicks his finger, a child dies. So fuck him.
Whenever your missus told you, Rob, that Katie had won, did you do the impression? Oh, that's right.
No, because she's sour on that impression ever since she found out about it. Because as I told you, she said, she said, "Is that what you're doing on a Sunday night? Instead of lying in here with me, you're out on the fucking phone doing impressions of Katie Taylor. You fucking idiot." Verbatim. So yeah, she's sour on the Katie Taylor impression. Try not to bring it out, even though I was dying to this morning.
Eddie was out in force this morning. Eddie Hearn, Sky Sports is not covering this show. Women's sport, the biggest female fight of all time. Katie Taylor, who boxed on Sky her whole career, and they're not giving it the coverage it deserves. It's just wrong. You can't ignore events like this.
Oh dear. I mean, Sky as well. Like they're so fucking. Do you know what I mean? They're so righteous. They took Tyson Fury to task about Ken Hanlix, while having Adam Smith as the fucking co-presenter for the last 10 years. Or
poor
Matthew Macklin.
Poor Matt likes to shake your head.
So, like, you know what I mean? You would expect Sky to do the right thing in this situation and not be unscrupulous. How dare they fucking promote the good fight that they had themselves on Saturday night instead of promoting fucking Eddie's show on an app? But shout out to Katie getting that go up off Jake. Do you know what I'm saying, Eddie? 7-figure Taylor in the house. Rematch of Croker. Let's make it happen. Bring Cindy Serrano to it. Beat her on the same night.
By the way, did BT cover the Katie Taylor fight last night?
No, not that I'm aware.
Why the fuck no then?
Hope they did.
Why the fuck? Why is Eddie no kicking off fucking about BT no covering the fucking? Did Channel 5 pick it up? Premier Sports.
Fire a news outlet. They want to remain impartial.
Yeah.
Even
then at the end of the day, Eddie's doing a great job, Andy. And as Andy Pike says, honestly, Barry, thank you for everything you and Eddie Hearn have done for the sport. Both a pair of legends.
Legends. Jesus Christ, man. Anything for a retweet, eh? But cheers to Andy for picking that, because I wouldn't have seen what Barry responding to because he got me blocked because he likes
I don't think fucking
soft porn.
I don't think Barry is
Old
buying
man.
what Andy Pike is selling on fucking Twitter. He's in it for different reasons.
Yeah, by the way, isn't it just ironic that Barry Hearn, aka the fucking Tory bastard, right, loves to watch porn. Meanwhile, some Tory bastard in the fucking House of Commons is getting caught out for watching porn on the fucking benches. Hey, they're dirty fucking fiends.
Katie
Goes to the bathroom with fucking savage at work. Fucking fine.
Right, I'll fly through a few of these.
If you want to. Watch
Katie Taylor believes Amanda Serrano fight will be talked about like Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier. That's Billy Boxing 2.0.
I don't wrestle with an alligator, Steve. I don't tussle with a whale. Like, handcuff lightning and throw thunder in jail. I'm so mean to make medicine sick, Steve. Rumble, young woman, rumble.
She's not a young woman anymore, though. That's
Brian Peters in the corner like Bundini Brown.
He's not going to shave that fucking Pope's head on his fucking head, does he? That half ball.
Michael Thompson nominated Ali Abdelaziz for talking about Canelo. Chris Williamson and Graham Taylor nominated Eddie for putting himself on the poster for the public
This is what I'm
weigh-in.
talking about. This is the whole week.
Look at
the
him.
whole week. Look at him. He's got. You can see his eyes. He's had fresh Botox put in there to kind of like narrow the eyes a wee bit. You see, he's got the designer stubble. He's got the hair plugs fucking well sorted out. Jake Paul's going about with his fucking Matrix glasses on like a fucking prick. You know, it's elite times, man.
Conor McGregor said, "Who's that jackass with the Jimmy Savile glasses on?"
Dillian White here, Matty. He says, "I hope Fury doesn't retire because I want another go." Are you happy to see that again, Matty?
Fucking
in another 1,000 days.
Fucking why? What is
Baby thing
Rob,
crying
very
this
good,
week,
Rob.
buddy. Baby thing.
Who's
Glad he
that?
came up with that right now.
I don't know who the fuck is Baby Ting.
This
Baby
would be
thing
what
is Dillian White, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Right, sorry.
I don't know why he thinks anyone would be interested in the rematch. I mean, fair enough to him. He did get clocked in the face pretty hard, so
Did
we'll
anybody
give
catch Sugar Hill's
Dillian a
interview?
pass.
Did anybody catch Sugar Hill's interview the other day? There actually, somebody asked him. He says, asked the question. Dillian White's mentioned about this push. He says, I think the push did the most damage than the uppercut. So you just really kind of just playing
He
along.
worked on the push, didn't he?
Yeah, just fucking up, just fucking about it. Just brilliant, man. Just take the piss. Fucking brilliant. Loved it.
He's the funny bastard on low, Sugar Hill. He is funny.
He is.
Yeah.
He's got that low key, dry sense of humour, I think.
Right, final few then. I have a couple of videos as well. Sam Jones, he's actually giving Dillian White a pat on the back. Nobody expected Dillian to do a quarter of what he's done. Headline multiple pay-per-view shows, beat some brilliant fighters on the way, and headline Wembley with the best heavyweight of our generation. And in millions, Dillian's completed boxing, and a tick from Sam.
And who's going to pay for this coffee?
Oh, who's this in the chat? Best cams, man. I can't keep up with best cams, Andy. .fun. Best adult dating site, apparently. Can't block them quick enough.
Fucking hell, man.
Donnie on best cams?
Donnie, sort that out, mate. Getting to Ben Wiseman Industries about this situation.
I think they're looking for you to like whip it out or stick something up your butt, Donnie. I don't know what the deal
We
is.
haven't got enough super chats for that, Matty.
Well, you know what?
For once, maybe we did. Maybe we did for once.
I was wanting a super chat in cash, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to say there's going to be a lot of super chats that are going to have to happen before that happens.
All our super chats are going to be audited now because the guru said we fucking got an offer from Kinahan. He was only joking.
I know.
Whistleblower, stop fucking tweeting us. It's nothing to do with us, man. Right? Leave us out.
I know. He's fucking advocating all sorts to do, man.
I'll name my
Fucking
price.
hell, man. Leave us alone, will you? Just leave us alone.
Anthony Bellew over here. Leave us alone, mate.
We're going to be doing the show from a cave in Afghanistan soon.
I'll do, I mean, for 50,000, I'll whip it out.
Yeah, 50,000 on your wicket.
Donnie's still on that. He's thinking about his number. For 50,000, I whip it out. That's a ridiculously high number to whip it out. But
50 grand.
50,000 Ugandan dollars, Donnie.
If he's whipping it out for that money, he's better than Broners. The Malik Scott of the pod, Donny Asylum.
Well, I have to think about the year's worth of lost income, you know.
True, very true.
Or like at the very minimum, like 4 months. I don't know.
But you know what's funny is that actually Adrian Broner's beard itself is only about 2 inches long. What you actually see there is just a collection of pubes from all the women he's gone down.
Oh, dude, man. Fucking hell. You cocky bastard.
Well, he is a demon that caught the one, isn't it? He's the one in the back of the limo. She said he ate it like a demon. She said, what does that mean?
It means he was tongue punching the fuck out of her. That's what he was doing.
Well, at least he's throwing punches somewhere.
Exactly. Could he keep the pace up, Rob? That's the problem. That's the question. Sorry.
In the second half, I heard lots.
Somebody said Donnie's about to do an Amir Khan on us.
Oh, here we go.
Talking of tongue punching, Andy, as the boys, you know.
Fuck
the ringside seat.
Great bunch of lads, by the way. Fucking Adam Cartroll, you fucking bullet-headed prick. The Gad.
Look at the boy dining out on 90s boxing ever. Look at him. Like, look at him.
The David Bailey of fucking boxing.
Like Jimmy McGee.
My cam is now going off.
Ben Davison, who can't get onto fucking flights in America, like Mr. T, ain't getting no fucking plane fool. He ain't getting no plane edible.
Looks like the
You need to get on the
shittiest.
exits.
Hey,
you need to
woman.
get the entrance and the exits
Hey,
and faint more.
Looks like the shittiest 30th high school reunion you can imagine.
One being
30
simple to the
fucking hell. Hard life Gad's had if he's 30, Ellie.
He's seen the Phoenix, Rob.
Rising like it as well, man. Fucking talks rising.
That's the laptop rising. Look.
Screensaver's just Ebony Bridges in it. 100%. Ebony Bridges and your man with the pink shorts. That's the screensaver.
So I was watching a YouTube video this week. I think it was, I can't remember who provided it to me. It might have been the main man himself, but there's some unexpected people being dragged into this whole MTK saga that you wouldn't expect. It's not only the likes of Ben and Cougs and Matty who aren't being allowed into America, but there's an undercover criminal at large been revealed on this one.
3 days ago, Matthew Macklin vowed to Sky Sports that he has cut off all ties with Daniel Kinahan. Now, even though that he said that, it looks like he's been blocked from traveling to the U.S., and this amid his links to Daniel Kinahan. And he's not the only one. There's many, many more. There's IFL TV, Rick Graville. There's several boxers who are being...
Ricky's fucking
Rick
bad.
Graville.
Rick stuff.
I'm not surprised they would ban him from going to America, Rob.
I have a hunch that he might not be allowed in the States anyway, Ricky.
Yeah. Steve, I'm just thinking about that film Coming to America. Well, retitled Not Coming to America.
I was thinking we're in the shit because fucking Ricky keeps super chatting us like they're going to be onto him after he's not allowed into America. He links the Kinahan. We're fucked now.
The thing is, mate, Uncle Sam gets his cut before we see that cash. So we're
We finally get the fucking hands on some Kinahan money, and this is what happens. Like, for fuck's sake.
Justin Level dues are being paid in the back end. Don't you worry about that, mate.
Don't worry, Ricky's not the only one who's not allowed in.
Not alone. I am here with you.
Ricky Gravels. Ricky Gravels.
You've had to cite that song actually in the fucking YouTube now. So
posing in a video with a dog, playing a song sung by Michael Jackson, written by R. Kelly. It's not a great setup, man. I'll just be honest with you.
I wonder
You worried for that dog.
Well, the thing is, I was just thinking actually, remember that Joy Nelson story about the tradesman? I'm just saying, like, sorry, Ricky, I'm just asking the question.
Well, you're not allowed in America anyway. That's the bad news.
Poor Rick, he's not allowed in America, so he won't get to see this, the quote.
That hair, man. What is going on there?
I'm not really sure what's going on.
Appalling, man. I need to get Ozzy's opinion on this. What the fuck is that? What is that coming off her forehead there? It's kind of like separating like a vagina. What the fuck is that?
I'm a fan
You're
of
not up on the baby hair. You're not up on the baby hair curls, Eddie. That's just what's wrong with you. You're not up on the fucking.
Right, okay. I have no idea what that is, mate. Must be a pint.
I tell you what's up, Andy. Dan Raphael scoring. Some things never change. Round 7, Valdez 10-9. Good bounce back round. 67-65 to Shakur. Said nobody ever.
Well, to quote Ozzy Smith, that's an absolute disgrace.
Dr. Schlong.
Bounce back round. Bounce back his fucking head.
Bounce back onto that chair.
Fuck's sake.
Fucking hell, man.
He's bad, isn't he, Andy?
How many rounds did anybody give Valdez last night, out of curiosity?
2, it's a push, man.
Yeah, I mean, two at best.
Not for Fat Dan. Here's the boys again. Must introducing the hosts of Block Party, multi-award-winning sports presenters. These two. What was their last gig again? I thought they had another job.
Combat Chain, was it not Combat Chain? No, we're on to fucking, what we want to do? Block Asset, sorry. Block Party Assets.
Blocked assets.
There's a good
accidental value there.
Exactly, it's unintentionally funny that Twitter can block asset, isn't it? Fucking brilliant, man. You asked a question about Daniel Kinahan again, guys. But that was a fucking clever point of view all the weeks ago.
Andy, let me tell you, right, we're all about balance here on the pod, and we're all about fairness, and other opinions are available.
Fuck them,
like this one, for example.
There has been some negative press, as there has been for a little while, surrounding Daniel, and there obviously yesterday.
Good. Do you know what? I'm even just going to stop you before you finish your fucking sentence. I know the backlash he gets. I get Irish media hounding me, harassing me about, oh, can you comment on this? Can you comment on that? I'm not Daniel's dad. He advises me. But what I can say is, if, let's just say now someone takes a shit in fucking Ireland is, I would hate to live in that country. I would hate to do it. It's so corrupt, it's a joke. I mean, let's just say I don't know, anybody like a police officer, anyone else, anything happens, it's Daniel Kinahan. Leave the man alone. He's fucking getting on with business. Leave him. What are you? A lot of people are jealous of success, and he's very good at his job. Very good at his job. And, you know, I think he's too big for Ireland. I think the amount of business, what he's doing and everything else, Ireland should really appreciate him for that small country they got and say, look what we got. You get all these negative stories about all the other rubbish, it's always, headlining, cartel shit and all this and that. I've known him all my life. I've never even heard him talk about any violence. And I'm the straightest talker in the world. I think someone's a prick, I say they're a prick. He's a very, very good man, an extremely good businessman. And without him, there would be a lot of fighters that were in big trouble because he's guiding them.
Woo! Billy Joe is on the fucking ban list. I was getting Chris Jericho vibes here, by the way. Guess what? You're on the list.
I think he made a lot of good points, though.
Daniel Kinahan's a good businessman. The Ireland should appreciate him for fucking killing people.
Yeah. He touched on a lot of interesting points. Yeah.
Escobar was a good businessman as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Tremendous.
What, for the freight industry?
Well, he brought hippos to fucking Colombia, too. That's badass. Like, he just brought fucking hippos there, and they're still there. There's still fucking hippos.
Oh, right. Scoon TV says Tyson Fury is a tall butterbean. The end.
What a fucking cunt.
Joe Box and Hamed and quite a few others nominated that. And I got sent this one this afternoon. It's an oldie but a goodie from my old friend Rick Glazer. Who knows what he does in boxing, but he does something. But this was from Rick at the start of the coronavirus back in February 2020. Rick tweeted out, because of the coronavirus, my wife and I will not be eating any Chinese food until this epidemic is straightened out. It's not the fear, but we all need to penalise the Chinese everywhere for this worldwide outbreak. Everyone follow this. Please retweet.
A wee bit of racism there, isn't there? Fucking hell. What happened to all the different variants that came up? South African, the fucking British one, all that shit. Fucking muppet. I tell you, I'm convinced he's raging because he didn't get the gravy train at MTK or whatever it was before the shit hit the fan, and now he's fucking left. Poor cunt.
What a hoe bag.
Picking Hergovich over Gilles Zhang. That's all the ones that I've got.
I mean, look. I mean, Rob is so offended. He by that he left. Oh,
he's gone into safety.
No, he's back.
He's back with us. Right, Matty. Any nominations from you, please? Episode 472.
Yeah, I wish I had said a pick, but I think we all kind of saw it. I got to nominate Jake Paul for what he was wearing. Like, at first I thought he had like a holster on and he was armed, and then it just seemed like it was part of his outfit. It was like a half vest thing going on, and it was one of the dumber things that I've seen that wasn't out of the Danny Garcia collection. So gotta give it to Jake Paul for his dumb outfit.
Okay, Andy, any from you? I think the link you sent me, by the way, Andy, I'm pretty sure somebody sent me that one last week and I uploaded it and played it.
Right,
I can try and do it again now if you want me to, but...
No, it's okay, mate. If you played it last week, that's fine. It was just...
Pretty sure we did, yeah. Pretty sure.
Yeah, pretty sure we did. Well, obviously... well, Anthony for getting it so drastically wrong there about White last week, going in it again this week. Maybe put up one up for Tyson Fury, actually saying that he would punch Usyk or run about the ring. He's a middleweight who's been blown up. Well, there's only one way to prove that one, actually, obviously. I mean, we need to see it. We've got to see it if Usyk beats Joshua in the rematch. Matt Macklin obviously been taken off the flight. And one for Cougs, I've been reliably informed, who was questioned for not just 10 minutes at the fucking passport control, but for hours apparently. So Coogan's water bill might be fucking stacking up. So if anybody's needing to kind of dip in, we'll maybe get a GoFundMe for Coogan to pay his water bill possibly. I know he likes to make sure that's fucking paid on time. Or maybe ask Derek Joe to give him a wee hand as well. Pretty quiet week other than that regard, mate. I think most of it should really go to MTK actually, or people off that great bunch of lads, really, to be honest with you.
Donny, any nominations from you, please?
Negative.
Negative. A lot of negativity from Donny tonight. Anything from you, Rob?
No, my sound is crazy on my end. It sounds crazy. I can't. Every time I look back, it sounds like robots.
This is a Katie impression, Rob.
That's a Dalek. That's a Dalek. It's just popped up there.
Everybody sounds like John Fury. So
no, it wasn't John Fury, mate. It wasn't John Fury. Like, certainly.
I cannot believe what the cigarette companies have done to me.
For not being ready for the stage. So I don't know, but I kind of.
What the fuck is that?
He sounds like Bob Arum after he had a half a pack of Marlboros.
That's definitely a John Fury impression.
Robot Rob Kelly.
Rapping robot.
Rapping robot. That sounded better than that John Fury impression from last week, didn't it?
It did actually. It sounded exactly how it sounded like, by the way. I'm a fighting man. You're a fighting man. It sounded like a wee bit kind of more kind of Dalek crazy actually. Maybe we can get back on there.
Right.
Just sound like a PSA for not smoking cigarettes.
Oh, but I'm sorry, I've got another one. Sorry,
Yes,
Steve.
yes.
Ben Davison. Uncle Ben.
What's he doing now?
Well, a few months ago, he said Daniel Kinahan doesn't mind losing money on boxing. Uncle Sam says, agents assemble, study this fucking tape. Championship mentality. Holy shit, man. So Ben Davison, as I think our good friend Kevin Bryan said to me, actually, he's the only person in history to end up in witness protection by mistake. So he's fucked up big style. Like, he's running for the hills, those cunts, man. Fuck me.
Shout out to Adam Hughes. He says his missus must be using the landline.
Fuck off, I'm back now, asshole. I'm fucking here.
Sound better. You sound better.
Exterminate.
It's like the fucking Daleks, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that was good, that was, well, but.
Doctor Who. Hey.
I damn you, Marlboros.
I'm a fighting man.
You got anything for us, Rob, by the week?
No, it was just Ben Davison for not being let in the States. I thought that was fucking golden, man. And someone said on Twitter, why didn't he just faint his way through customs?
Why do you study the tape before he went to fucking...
I tell you who's doing unrivaled work. The fucking feds.
Oh, man. I know.
Great bunch of lads.
Great bunch of lads.
FBI analysis.
Unrivaled work. Oh, fuck's sake.
Oh, gosh.
I tell you what, by the way,
yep.
Just shows you Jojo Diaz did something useful. He's fucking... It was him alone. Him alone that's fucked it up for him because he decided to go and break the RICO Act and the Ali Act, and that's federal law. Once you get into the fucking federal system, that's you fucked. Donnie, am I right? Once the feds are on you cannot get fucking out of it. Once the feds get you, it's so hard to beat them.
The Ali Act came from John McCain, didn't it? Senator John McCain, I think. Yeah.
The Ali Act came from Nico Ali Walsh. That's the real Ali Act.
And the RICO Act.
Pretending to be a boxer.
What's his name? What was the old New York mayor during 9/11?
Oh, Giuliani.
Giuliani. He was the first person to really put the RICO Act into proper effect against the mafia. He fucking ruined them, by the way. So, yeah, good luck, guys. Good luck, these.
Bad getting taken down by a fella fucking just loading on Just for Men in it. Like, it's fucking rough that you have to go down to him.
Go on, Don.
What?
I thought you were jumping in. You unmuted yourself.
Oh, my bad. No. I didn't unmute myself.
No problem, Donny.
Tell us, Donny. Tell us how hard it is to beat a federal case against anybody.
Well, yeah. If you're bringing federal charges, it's serious business.
Serious business.
So, if you're talking about what was the example you just referenced with the RICO
RICO Act? So basically,
RICO v. Suave.
I'm sorry, Rob. I was just asking a guy a question, like, you know.
No, the fucking dog. Listen to the dog looks cracking up.
Not William White.
I'm trying to tell him about Eddie Hearn. Stop.
I think the only person that I know of, I think, to well, I don't want to say the only person, but the one that sticks out of my mind, the person that beat a federal
Don
RICO
King.
charge was Don King.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually a really high bar to clear because, basically all you have to do is you don't even need to prove the crime; you just need to prove the conspiracy. And somehow Don King managed to beat a federal RICO charge, and then
what?
And then what? Don't leave us there.
Come on, Donnie, tell us. And then what? Come on.
Hello.
There you are.
Tell us. Yeah. And then what?
Yeah.
What
So
happens?
after Don
flirting with us again.
After Don King beat the federal RICO charge, he took all the jurors to England on a trip. That's a true story. You can look it up.
Man. My guy.
Only in England.
What a man. He's still cheating death even now.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling. He's gonna be fucking calling that shit shortly.
Ames is absolutely fucking obliterating me in the chat. By the way, cheers for that, Ames, man. He's called the town. Fucking hell.
Taking aims at you, Rob.
The doctor's cracking. Listen, this is.
Was he eating your Ethernet cable? Is that what it is?
Right. Quick rundown before we all have our picks. So we had Anthony going in against Errol Spence. We had Joe Goosen Garcia. We had him. We had Saul Farrow in the rematch. We had Mr. Bryan. We had Eddie. We had AJ. We had Bunsey on the streets in New York. Bunsey again. We retracted that one. Eddie again. We had Andy Pike, who was patting Barry on the back. We had Katie talking about Ali Frazier. We had Mr. Abdul Aziz. We had Eddie on the weigh-in. Dillian White looking for the rematch. Scam Jones. We had the Arslick at ringside. We had the Groat. Dr. Schlong, who was nominating Dan Raphael. The Probellum Block Party Boys, formerly Probellum, I might add. Tyson Fury as well. Then if Porky got nominated or not, somebody put him forward. And then we had Billy Joe at the end on the video. We had Ricky Graville, banned from the United States of America, and Bell used Bollocks. Quite the list this week. Rapping Rob Kelly. Let's go to you first. Who are you going for, Belly of the Week?
I have to go for your man, Plastic Patty, who included Ricky Gravel on the fucking banned flight list to the US, mistakenly reporting on crime. He's normally pretty on point, that guy, but just to hear him in a serious tone say, a lot of guys not allowed into the US, Ricky Gravel. I knew it.
We all knew it.
From Jimmy Savile to Ricky Gravel. They get them all in the end.
Oh,
Nobody's safe, mate. Nobody's safe.
McGregor was good too when he said about Jake Paul, though, who's this jackass in the Jimmy Savile classes, and then he tweeted back a big essay, and then McGregor just posted a picture of Jimmy Savile.
I love Canelo's response to the
Usman, yeah.
Aye.
Who's that fool, by the way? By the way, he should get one, shouldn't he?
It's Khabib's manager or something like that.
Ali Abdulaziz.
That's it. As
McGregor said.
Fucking MMA fighters are begging for a boxing payday because it's
pathetic, isn't it?
It's shagging, man. It's shagging.
Pathetic. And by the way, sorry, I have a nomination for the big man, Tyson Fury. Why does he keep asking fellas about the size of their Mickeys, man? Why he had Usman, he had fucking Ngannou in the ring, and the night of his biggest fucking retirement, he starts saying to him, "Oh, have you got a big Corey and all?" And Ngannou's like, "Wow, what are you on about?" Like, keeps on about Joshua's Mickey. What is this obsession, man?
He's wanting to prove the old racial stereotype.
I don't know. What it is, man? It fucking sounds weird to me, so that can get thrown in the mix. But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I
mean,
he's a
Rob,
priest, you know.
He's a priest, you know.
He's a priest, you know. But Rob, you're the same age as me, roughly, right? So you remember living for Christy running the fucking track. His dick changed lanes as he ran down the fucking track, man. What the fuck?
He got the bronze medal when he got the silver, I think, one year.
Right, quickly, we better move on before this becomes a midnight mass. Matty, what's the nomination?
Midnight mass. I need to get the fuck out of here then.
What's your nomination, Matty?
I think we got to give it to the idiot that said Tyson Fury is a tall butter bean. What a dickhead!
Oh yes, that was. Let me bring him up now. Like last night to dinner, that was Scoon TV. He's some kind of he's in the music business apparently. So there you go. That's Mr. Scoon. Okay, Donnie, who are you going for?
I'm also going to go for Ricky Graville.
Ricky Graville. That's three for Graville, Andy. I'm going for the Plastic Paddy incident as well.
Plastic Paddy. I just finished my wank there, sorry.
How big is
I've
it,
got
Andy?
through the 12 rounds of fucking Shakur Stevenson.
It's shriveled up now. It's like a snail now, man. I've got to clean this mess up.
Steve has to be up in 5 hours. You're talking about winking it, and people are
Yeah,
talking about the size of dicks.
6 hours,
Yeah,
mate. 6
poor
hours.
guy.
It's only 11:05. 6 hours.
I won't be up. It's bank holiday here. Fuck
Yeah,
that.
same here, mate. Same here. Fucking feet up tomorrow for me. Yeah, it's got to be the plastic paddy for fucking false reporting our brother Ricky Reveal being banned to America. The poor
On the
cunt's going to
flight
go to the
list.
airport. He's on the manifest. He's on the fucking Schindler's List. Can't get anywhere.
Flight risk Ricky Gravel. Oh, fuck's sake.
Ben Davison.
Wasn't it a good thing to be on
Ben
Schindler's
Davison
List?
gets fucking Ben Davison got fucking blocked for the flight because his hair was fucking too greasy. Apparently it was fucking it was overweight.
No, hold on. I want to make
Coogan gets fucking interviewed for 5 hours.
Someone played a blinder on Twitter for Davison, by the way. You know the way they're scrubbing the Kinahan tribute videos from IFL at the moment, and someone tweeted up, I was like, it's as if somebody fucking screen grabbed this and was waiting for this precise moment to have their time and fucking reposted the video of a 13-minute Ben Davison monologue tribute to Daniel Kinahan about how he doesn't have time to do drug dealing because he's been around him. And he's just so busy doing boxing shit 24/7 that it's impossible that he's a cartel leader. So just get a life. Look at all the good shit he's gone to boxing.
Can I
Leave him alone.
just piggyback on Rob's comment there, actually. James English as well, the other sports washing fucking Scottish prick, right? He's fucking deleting videos now, apparently. Right? Dude, you are so fucked. You're so fucked.
I think we're going to be deleting videos as well soon.
Mate, I don't give a shit if you're deleting videos. It doesn't matter.
How did
The
they never
small print-
approach us? Everybody seemed to be getting money. I was looking at the fucking reports coming out. I was like,
Exactly.
how come
The
we
thing
couldn't
is,
get a paycheck out of this? We were good
the
enough
thing
for
is,
that.
Rob, these people think they're so better than us, so intelligent. Did they read this fucking small
Well,
print?
no
when they
better
create
than
the
me because
YouTube
I would
channel?
have took the money. I would have been in first
I
in
wouldn't
line.
have took the money. Not a
First,
chance.
I would have took it all the way to the bank. Freeze my assets.
Steve knows. Read the small print on YouTube. If the authorities come calling, YouTube will fucking hand it over without question. So all those videos that got deleted, they're still backed up. Still on the servers. They're still getting passed on. So you are fucked. English, cooks. Your water bill's going to take fucking sorted out, pal.
Everybody's missing the point here. Episode 472, Bowler of the Week. We should be congratulating Ricky Gravel. His amazing win
Amazing
here.
achievement, man. That
Let's
is
have another listen
amazing.
before we close out, Matty. One more listen.
3 days ago, Matthew Macklin vowed to Sky Sports that he has cut off all ties with Daniel Kinahan. Now, even though that he said that, it looks like he's been blocked from traveling to the U.S., and this amid his links to Daniel Kinahan. And he's not the only one. There's many, many more. There's IFL TV, Rick Gravel. There's several boxers who are being banned from going into the U.S. now.
Rick Gravel.
Ricky, man.
How amazing is that they've linked fucking Ricky Gravel to the alleged Kinahan cartel? Amazing. Fucking amazing.
As Donnie says,
Brilliant.
pussy and views, mate.
They must have just followed the trail, Rob.
The FBI, you're fucking onto a different trail after fucking looking him up on Twitter.
Followed the trail. There's Gravel.
What did I say
Anyway.
a couple of weeks ago? You think you could take on the Irish government? Right, okay, fair enough. You think you could take on the British? Right, okay, I'll accept that. The Dutch? Yeah, fair enough. The fucking Yanks? Come on. FBI, NSA, FA, fucking CIA, DEA, fucking...
It's like that when
They've got me an acronyms that I can fucking say, but fuck me.
delete that. It feels weird to be talking about this shit freely, to be honest with you. But
It does, eh? We've seen it for long enough.
when they leaked that trailer for the James English podcast, and he says something 300 billion through the US. If that happened, I'd be in US custody or something. And then the US were like, "What?
Yeah, is that right?
Hold on,
Let's double check this one.
let's have a gander here." And
That's
she's
what I
gone
said,
left,
mate.
hasn't it?
When Ben Davis says that Daniel Kinnan doesn't mind losing money on boxing, Uncle Sam saying, "Agents assemble." Let's fucking get through this fucking video.
Well, all I
let's
need
study
is that
this tape.
13-minute clip. It's on Twitter. I've seen it, so I'm sure
I've seen it as well.
seen this, you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm
Right.
not wishing bad on anybody. I hope
No.
everybody pulls through.
Good luck to everybody,
Great
including
bunch of
Ricky
lads.
Reveal, and Plastic Paddy. Congratulations.
Especially Ricky Gravel, Steve.
Value of the week for
Yeah,
episode
Ricky
472. Matty, just before I hand it back to you, got a quick list of the super chatters. Uppercut myself, seems an age ago now. Johnny Horsecop Nelson, Chase Athletics, Gary Kavanagh with a whopper, and the main man himself, Ricky Gravel. Over to you, Matty. Thank you.
And don't forget uppercut myself as well. tossed in 449
yeah.
earlier. So thank you to everybody that gave. Thank you also to Andy and Rob and Steve and Donnie for even stopping by today. Donnie, you and I we'll talk over here soon. Fucking not today, but we'll talk. You guys, everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us. We had a good, lively chat today. I appreciate every one of you that came in here and tossed in your 2 cents. Even those of you who insulted us for not giving Shakur Stevenson enough love before Rob came in here and gave him overwhelming amounts of love, basically saying that he was going to be the next Jesus, almost.
Log it, mate. He's the new Mayweather / Andre Ward / Bud Crawford. How's about that for a fucking trilogy?
There you go. And he's got 8 hands like Ganesh. So what the fuck are you going to do about it? So thank you for listening wherever you might
lock your doors at the petrol station. That's all.
Jesus Christ. Thanks for wherever you listen. Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, etc. Rate us there if you would. If you enjoyed the show. If you did not, send us a message. Let us know what you might not enjoyed. But until we can next week to review that Canelo Bivol fight, y'all have a great week ahead, and we will see you next Sunday.
Ricky Gravel, be safe.
We'll never forget.
Be safe.
I think that's good happening.
Be safe.
We want to be honest, yeah.
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking swank that can fight me.
I fell asleep. You're a fucking bum. You're a fucking asshole.
Rumple fucking stiltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7-year anus. 7-year anus. I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die. Be safe.
I love boxing sounds. Simple as that.